So am I supposed to say something now? Is now the time to say things? Is this not the best intro to any stream we've ever done?
We're live.
Oh, okay. Hey now, it's your boy PSA SITCH here with friended Adam, also known as Think Club, also known as Big Money Think.
Big Money Think. Whoa, I like that. New nickname.
That's your new channel name. And we're going to talk about Jordan Peterson because that's what we are contractually obligated to talk about. But also, we're going to talk about KAVANAUGH.
KAVANAUGH?
KAVANAUGH.
I pronounced it the wrong way on my video this morning, and people were giving me a hard time. It's KAVANAUGH, I guess, but...
How did you say?
KAVANAUGH. I said KAVANAUGH a couple times. I said KAVANAUGH.
Whatever, he's an American.
KAVANAUGH.
Like a nice, good white waspy American name.
I had to add my my redneck accent in there. KAVANAUGH.
Yeah, just so people know what you're referencing. There was an Iranian person of all people on Rationality Rules comment section who said you sounded like a redneck.
Yeah,
which is so bizarre.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's so weird.
So what did you think of my response to Rationality Rules? I mean, I already know what you think because you told me.
What you mean is tell everyone how awesome you thought my response video was. Is what you really mean.
Yeah. Well, if you're bringing it up, go ahead.
I'm bringing it up. Yes, I saw the response you made on the Think Club channel was fantastic. I thought it was perfect and great and classy and there's literally no way to have made it better.
How cool was the shout out for you?
It was good. There should have been more. There should have been more.
It should have opened with that shout out, huh? By the way,
it should have ended a long shot of just me saying something amazing.
Notice how I threw you in there sitting next to Armored Skeptic?
Yes, you did.
That was great. Huh?
You were trying to add legitimacy to...
Trying to add? Oh, it's like hitting you over the head with the legitimacy stick. Boom,
exactly.
Boom, boom. Yep. Got to sell it, man. Got to sell yourself. So what are we diving? Do you have any... you've watched, you said, I think about 3 hours of the KAVANAUGH hearings. I think I've watched or listened to and watched some, but I'm probably about 3 hours. I don't know. How long are they? Like, it says 7 hours on this video.
Yeah, they're each I don't know, they're probably each 5 or 6 hours.
Okay.
But before that, are we going to talk about the tweet?
Sure. I published a video on Think Club. People who are here probably have already seen that video. And
well, I didn't see it.
In the video, I basically said that Jordan Peterson will probably say more about this. And I completely disagree with Jordan Peterson that obviously submitting from what I know of this whole KAVANAUGH mess, there's not enough evidence to really do anything. And I'm really disappointed that our government dragged this stuff into the hearing, to be honest with you, because it's all circumstantial evidence.
Right. Well, I mean, they have to. The problem is kind of the way it's structured. If someone makes a claim, they have to investigate it. Now, it probably would have been better to investigate it first before, going on public TV about it, right?
Yeah. Why wouldn't they investigate it before saying anything?
But I don't know if they can, the way these are structured.
Well, then change the structure. You're in charge of the government. You make the rules, for heaven's sakes. Right?
Right. But though...
is it... First of all, it might be legal, but is it wrong?
Is what wrong?
What they did.
It depends. If he's innocent, it's wrong. If he's not, then it's not wrong.
Right. But I'm just saying, to bring this stuff in on such flim-flam evidence,
right.
My thinking is... there are all these laws in place to protect the victims, right?
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has seemed to put together that the accused is also a victim. If they're innocent, they're the victim, right?
Of course.
So that asymmetry has created a situation that I feel like that asymmetry has created a lot of this situation. Because people, one person is able to, well, I guess in this situation, both people, like everyone knows who she is. So maybe I'm wrong there.
Well, I get it. So, but what should they do? Like, what would be the ideal thing they should have done, according to you?
Investigate it, find out if there was any truth to it, not leave it up, not turn this Senate hearing into a jury trial, basically, with the outcome of his nomination dependent upon everyone's feelings on whether or not, like, there's no evidence here.
Right.
Yeah, it's
although part of the questioning process is that it's supposed to be, I mean, it's not because it's all political, but ideally it's supposed to be a way in which they're supposed to find out what is true or not by questioning the witnesses. It's kind of like you were saying, it's kind of like a courtroom. The problem is that it's publicly broadcast.
Yeah.
And everyone's already decided beforehand what they believe.
Yeah, but why couldn't that? I'm just saying it's a unique situation here where people's reputations are at stake. And I feel like that should be private. Like, and the outcome of their questioning should, I think just everyone is tainted by this process. Don't you think? I mean,
everyone's tainted by the process because they handled it poorly, but I don't agree that it should be done privately. I mean, because these are all supposed to be our public officials, and we want to know what they're doing. We don't want them to be making these secret decisions behind closed doors. And then if they did that, then you're going to have one side's going to come out and say, "Oh, they were just lying and throwing softballs," and but you'll never know because it was all in secret.
Yeah, I guess you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't.
Right, and I think that's what Eric Weinstein's point was.
So did you read any of that stuff? Evidently, he posted a blog post or something on that.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
No, I didn't read that. I didn't know he did that. But my problem with the reaction to Jordan Peterson's tweet was that everyone was not responding to the context that he was. Because Eric Weinstein's point was that he thought that Kavanaugh was a bad Supreme Court justice, completely separated from the sexual assault claims.
Mm-hmm.
He thought he was an establishment elitist type, which he definitely, I mean, it's kind of funny because the whole thing, the election of Trump was supposed to be the anti-establishment election. And Kavanaugh's like the most establishment, like he's been in, the Bush administration. He's been so up the neocon ass for like the last 20 years.
Right.
So it's kind of funny that he's supposed to represent this kind of anti-establishment brand. But so Eric Weinstein's point was that he thinks Kavanaugh is a bad candidate, regardless of the sexual assault claims. However, if he was denied the position, everyone would see it as them giving into the sexual assault claims without any evidence, and that would be bad too. Right. So Eric was saying that both outcomes, or Brett was saying that both outcomes were unacceptable. And then so Jordan Peterson says, okay, well, maybe the solution to this no-win situation you're proposing is that he gets in and then resigns himself.
Oh my God. So it's basically just a tweet between friends. Totally.
That's what but that's not the problem. He was responding to that.
That's funny.
And that's not what everyone was just looking at his tweet in a vacuum.
Oh my goodness. Twitter is just this is what I said in my video. Twitter is the platform for miscommunication. It really is.
Right. Well, that happens so often where someone tweets something and then like a year later you see a screenshot of it devoid of any context and it looks terrible.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Well, I guess what I'm really responding to when I'm saying that this stuff should remain private is there's something horrific about bringing baseless accusations into this process. So I feel like they should know that they should be credible, evidence-based statements that are being made on these people's behalf. right?
Yeah, but even I'm thinking, I don't know exactly, but I would assume, like, say that. Well, first of all, they can't investigate into the claims until Kavanaugh's named, because why else would they investigate the claims, right?
Yeah.
So Kavanaugh gets named, and then they say, okay, well, we want to investigate this claim. Like when, first of all, I don't even know when she came forward when Ford came forward with the claim anyway.
Well,
Was it after
they
he
were
was
complaining in the hearing that the Democrats knew about this months ago and waited till the last minute to
right?
make this information. Like
I mean,
they
yeah,
held
I
it
wouldn't
for
be
political
surprised at
reasons.
all.
Yeah, exactly. They're all playing dirty pool.
Right. But even if they didn't, even if the Democrats didn't wait, wouldn't it still all be public? Because like months before they would say, okay, well, we're going to investigate Kavanaugh. So he's going to have to come to to the Senate and be publicly questioned. And she's going to have to come to the Senate and be publicly questioned. And, wouldn't it just be the same thing, only it would have happened months ago?
Mm, yeah, but would it be? I mean, they did FBI background checks on him and investigations. I'm assuming they uncovered stuff that they didn't make public, right? I mean,
I don't know. Well,
any
they did the investigation. You mean the investigation they just did?
yeah. Well, they did. I didn't they do like 6 or 7 investigations, I believe.
I have no idea.
It's so difficult because there's so much information flying around. It's very difficult to tell what information is correct and what information
Right.
is not. I mean, I was having dinner with a friend the other night and we were talking about this, and I was saying stuff that he was saying, "Oh no, that's totally been debunked." And he was saying stuff that I'm like, "Oh no, that was totally debunked." So,
Right.
there's definitely two narratives trying to be established here. And that's one of the things that infuriated me about Jordan Peterson even getting involved. It's like there's not enough information to know anything here. Like why are you even flapping your gums? Come on.
Yeah. Well, and the whole thing is completely, at least from Twitter's perspective, it's annoying because since I'm in the anti-SJW Twitter bubble, so that means I get the overlap of the right wing bubble, and it's like I don't know if there's no evidence either way, and I agree with you that you should, if someone's accused of something, you have to weigh on the side of the person being accused if there's no evidence. I mean, that's the American judicial system, innocent until proven guilty. But like people are claiming that she's lying or what, like there's no evidence for any of this stuff. It's all just up in the air.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all hearsay.
Right.
Well, even it's super difficult for me just because I've read so much stuff on the brain and how the brain works and how memories work for me to take seriously even eyewitness testimony from 30 years ago. I mean,
Yes.
that's
Yeah,
not,
like
it's not evidence.
if I don't want to victim blame, and I'm not
Hmm.
victim blaming at all, but human memory is terrible, and eyewitness testimony is probably the most unreliable of all evidence
Exactly.
in humankind. Um, so if something happens to you, it's in your benefit to immediately tell the police.
Yes.
Though there was something that was weird, and I don't know how this is going to turn out, but the woman that who's that? What's that guy's name? Cavanagh that no one likes.
Hmm.
The lawyer for the porn star.
Yeah.
The woman that he was representing, who said that she made the most extreme claim about the rape gang or running the train or
Oh my
whatever.
God.
Which, yeah, it sounds like crazy, but she claims that she reported this to the police. So there should be a police report,
Right.
but they said it would take them a month to find it. So this whole thing
What?
could so this whole thing could start again in a month, depending on whether they find that police report or not.
Wow. Yeah, I guess they could take him down if something like that came to pass. I don't know. I'm not an attorney, obviously. Maybe
Right.
that would be a
Well, even if they found
pretty
the police report,
crisis.
I doubt it would name him specifically.
Right. Right.
So he'd
Yeah.
have, it'd be very difficult to prove he was involved.
One of the things that was very frustrating for me about the Senate hearings was I never found out if when she met Kavanaugh, and if she a sticking point for me was the fact that if she knew Kavanaugh from school before any of this happened, so that
Hmm.
she knew there have been quite a few people who've been exonerated through DNA testing from rape allegations that were just like a one-off. A total
Right.
stranger raped somebody, and the person sees somebody and thinks that's the person that did it, even though it's really not the person that did it. And then whenever they relive the memory, it's always that other person. So they have
Hmm.
the wrong person. And I kept wondering, well, how did she know? Because if you know your attacker, you're much more likely to, obviously you know this person, you realize who it is.
Yeah.
So, and there was another guy in the room who I guess hasn't come forward. So we don't necessarily know if that guy was with another guy and is just not saying anything. We don't know anything. That's why it's pointless to speculate.
Though, see, there was some weird things because I don't. His friend Mike Judge, I don't think he was interviewed by the FBI, and I don't know if he ever testified under oath,
Right.
which wouldn't speak good in his favor if he didn't.
Yes. Yeah, but even if he was involved and there was another person and
Hmm.
not Kavanaugh, but another guy, like it's not in his interest to speak either, right?
Yeah, but if he's a witness, because she named him as a witness to
Yes.
the,
Yeah.
and it's interesting because when you read her depiction of the incident, it seems like he was trying to, and she doesn't frame it this way, but it seemed like because she was saying that like while Kavanaugh was attacking her, they were on a bed, and Mark Judd kept jumping on the bed.
Hmm.
And the thing that ended the incident was that he jumped on the bed and it like knocked them both off, and that allowed her to escape. And she said that she kept looking at him. So
Hmm.
it's weird because she doesn't say this, but it seems like she was like implying that he was trying to stop the attack, but like in a weird, like indirect, non direct
Confrontational.
way.
Yeah.
So I
Hmm.
don't know if that's her claim. You would think he would be definitely a person of interest.
Yeah, we're in a super weird territory here though, because Kavanaugh is going to be a very powerful man soon.
Hmm.
So not that he's above the law or anything, but I don't know. It's a crazy situation.
And I mean, it is. I agree with you that if I would like for there to be a way where it's like, okay, if he's innocent, you don't want to go through all this. But
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you could structure it that way.
Well, he's nominated. I'm assuming he's found innocent, correct?
Well, he wasn't. He's just found. They didn't find. I mean, it's not a court. They don't find anything. They just say, well, you're
Yeah,
confirmed.
exactly. It's
Yeah,
totally unhelpful.
yeah. The whole thing's unhelpful.
He's innocent to the Republicans and he's
Right.
guilty
He's
to
guilty to the
so
Democrats.
now
Right.
we have no closure whatsoever.
Exactly.
But I mean, didn't it wind up this way with Anita Hill and Clarence
Clarence
Thomas?
Thomas.
Yeah. And it just
Yeah, it
kind of
did. Yeah.
washed under the rug. So maybe this won't be that big a deal.
See, that's part of why I don't know because like when people were talking about this, I mean, I had a tweet where I said like the first day of this, I'm like, oh, he's still gonna get confirmed. Like I don't know what people like is gonna happen. Like there'd have to be such solid evidence against him. That'd be the only way he wouldn't be confirmed. And
I
and it's a good point, is what you're saying with Anita Hill. It's like no one cares about that anymore.
everybody I feel like the I kind of blame the Democrat. Well, both sides do it, but I blame the Democrats for really making their side feel that this, like, again, they get their hopes up. These
Right.
people think, okay, well, he's done this completely terrible thing. Like they're calling it rape. It's not even rape. It's assault at best.
Hmm.
And they get their hopes up. They think, okay, well, there's no way this can happen. And then all of a sudden it happens, and they're like cognitive dissonance again. And they're running around all over the place telling everyone, the Republicans nominated a rapist or confirmed a rapist, which is just not even close to the truth. It's just the truth is taking a huge a huge hit on the
it is really upsetting that they keep doing this where where you're saying they set up this emotional argument and they get everyone riled up, and then there's nothing behind it. So then when the emotional argument fails, everyone gets all angry and upset.
Yeah.
There's not really because people were saying on Twitter, like, oh, why didn't they? Part of the problem is, people were saying, why didn't they attack Kavanaugh for his record? Because he doesn't have a great record unless you're very right wing. And the reason is because, unfortunately, like the normies want that low resolution idea they can rally behind. They don't care that, Kavanaugh might have, been shitty in the, to the Clintons or something, or that he might be, anti-abortion or whatever. They don't care about that. They want to hear like something juicy, like, oh, sexual assault.
Yeah.
That's something they can rally behind. Not like, oh, he is in favor of Citizens United. No one cares about that.
They're like, citizens what?
Yeah, they're like, what is that? I don't know what that is.
So you want to watch a little bit of this hearing?
Yeah, sure.
To the rule of law. Our legal system's success is built on judges accepting.
Oh, I just want to say, this is the first day of the hearing, and they don't talk at all about the sexual assault allegations. This is about the horrible high resolution issues that we were talking about. Unless we can watch the Ford stuff.
No. If they're, we'll be interjecting when they start talking partisan nonsense, right?
Yes,
that's the point.
Definitely, that's the plan.
That their role is limited to deciding cases and controversies. A good judge exercises human.
See, there's those emotional people I was talking about. They're like,
right.
Those are the people. They're like slitting their wrists today. Are you kidding? It's not good.
What is?
It's not good.
You'll see it happens a lot during this hearing where people will start shouting. It's like, what does that accomplish? It doesn't do anything.
It shows us that people have been whipped into a frenzy. It does show us that.
Yeah, but I mean, from their perspective, they're not helping their cause by acting like a crazy person.
Do you think there's any kind of we're in irrational times here? Seriously, I had mentioned in my comment section the Republicans could nominate Karl Marx and the left would try to destroy him. Like, seriously,
you're right. You're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the Russia switch. So.
And makes decisions according to specific facts of the case and, of course, according to the law. A good judge never bases decisions on his preferred policy preferences.
Now, see, this is all good stuff. He's like, oh yeah, the judge will, they won't rule on politics, but like everyone knows that's bullshit. Like it's all a facade. Scalia
was the worst, though.
He was the worst.
Scalia was, I think, probably the worst of all time. So, but this guy's not replacing Scalia. Scalia's already been replaced. And I don't know much about the guy who replaced him. Do you know anything about?
He's replacing Stevens, right?
No, this he's replacing the swing vote.
Stevens.
Yeah, okay.
Is that his name?
I don't think it is. It doesn't sound right.
It is Stevens. No, it's not. I don't know. Whatever.
Scalia's already been replaced.
Someone in the chat will tell us.
Yeah. Who? So Scalia's already been replaced. But a lot of this.
Wait, okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I have a question about Scalia. Okay. Scalia believed. Well, here's a question for the chat. Do you think a person who believes that the devil is a literal physical entity that will go to individual people and mind control and tempt them to the dark side. If you believe that, should you be allowed to serve on the Supreme Court?
Oh my God.
The answer is Kennedy, not Stevens.
Yeah, that's
But,
what it was, Kennedy.
Because that's what Scalia believed. He believed the devil was a literal physical being going around tempting people.
You don't believe that, Sitch? Sitch, you're the religious one here. I'm a little shocked here.
And to me, that I'm all for freedom of religion, 100%. But I think that should not allow. That should make it so you can't serve on the Supreme Court, because how can I trust that you're acting within the law if you believe, you could believe that someone who has a case before you is being manipulated by the devil.
Yeah.
You're already going to be acting upon a standard higher than man's law.
And no one ever tried the devil made me do it defense with Scalia. This never came up because I don't know. Maybe he just said he was such a partisan. Maybe someone used that defense, and that's why he bought it. He's like, oh, okay. Maybe that was his defense on the Bush on
the Bush verdict. Yeah,
on the Bush verdict.
The devil was in Florida, throwing out the Bush votes.
A good judge also has courage, recognizing that we have an independent judiciary to restrain judges when that government exceeds
there he is.
lawful
He has
authority.
no idea what's about to befall him.
President Andrew Jackson said, quote, "All the rights secured to the citizens under the Constitution are worth nothing and a mere bubble, except guaranteed to them by an independent and virtuous judiciary," end of quote. Confirmation hearings for Supreme Court nominees are a very important opportunity to discuss the appropriate role of judges. As I see it, and I expect many of my colleagues will agree,
That's the worst. She's in a
the
wheelchair
role
too.
of the judge is to apply the law as written, even if the legal result is not one the judge personally
No one on the
likes.
Supreme Court does that.
Justice Scalia has
Does what?
often been quoted because he was
Wait.
fond of saying, if a judge always likes the outcome of the cases he decides, he is probably doing something wrong.
So, okay, he just used Scalia as an example of a judge who would vote in favor of the law and not their personal beliefs,
Right.
which is absurd.
I don't believe that at all. But
Yeah.
he also said that the judges shouldn't always be in favor, but they aren't in favor because they lost. They're in the minority, and you can read a bunch of Scalia's what do they call them? I want to call it minority report.
Dissenting opinion.
The minority report sounds better. When they write their minority report, there's some of Scalia that are just so bitter, like like salt-filled tears on the paper.
Well, that's why I get annoyed when they talk about, oh, I'm a constitutional originalist or whatever, because I think I definitely agree that there's validity in the idea that you need to have some sort of code that everyone follows by fairly. But but almost every time I hear someone talk about constitutional, like originalist or whatever, like it's just bullshit.
Yeah,
they only
totally.
bring that up when it serves them. They don't bring it up when it doesn't serve them.
Yes, that's how law works. That's the
Exactly.
whole point.
Yeah.
I don't want judges who always reach a liberal result or a conservative result.
That's not true.
Yeah,
we all know
that was a
that's not
lie.
true. We all know that's a lie.
I want a judge who rules the law the way the law requires. Judges must leave lawmaking to the Congress, the elected representatives of the people. Judges and justices have lifetime appointments. They can't be voted out of office if they legislate. Whereas if Congress legislates something that people don't like, then you can vote them out of office. That's why they're to interpret law and not make law. Now, some have a very different view of what a judge's role should be.
There was since he's bringing this up, and Ted Cruz, who's a lying piece of shit, brings this up too. In 2014, they brought up a law to do away with Citizens United, which was a piece of judicial activism, like Crassley is talking about right now. And guess who voted against it?
Was it Ted Cruz?
And Grassley and all the Republicans.
Right. They love judicial activism because it allows them to not do their jobs. Like they don't want to take difficult votes.
When you say they, you mean the Senate and
both
the House.
sides. Yeah,
Yes,
Senate,
both sides.
House,
Yeah.
all of them. They love
Yes.
the presidential orders as well because
Right.
nobody wants to take responsibility for anything. The ultimate goal of leaders is to stay in power. They don't want to make decisions like that. that actually hurts them. They make that every decision that they make is a landmine. Are you kidding? They could have. How long has this abortion thing been done? They could have made a law about the abortion thing forever ago.
That's an excellent point.
Yeah,
it's the same thing with net neutrality. That's why they don't want to. People were saying, "Oh, the Congress should pass a law." I'm like, "Yeah, they should," but they're not going to.
Yeah, the Supreme Court. What he's saying is makes perfect sense. They have lifetime appointments. They don't have to worry. They can make whatever decisions they want. As horrific. But this is one of the reasons why this process has become as toxic as it has. When I was having dinner with my friend, he brought up that they could potentially make the Supreme Court like a 8-year or 10-year thing, and he was saying that the Congress would be in favor of that because it's too much power, that the Supreme Court has too much power now that people live to be 100 years old. Like Scalia dropped dead on the Supreme Court. He was never stepping down. So what do you?
He got attacked by the devil.
What? Yeah, exactly. So, but I disagree with him because I think the point is that they want that power reserve there because it allows them to do things without doing things without taking responsibility.
And then they can complain about it.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I agree with your position 100%.
Yeah. So if they made the Supreme Court a term limit, then that would just belittle that power that they have.
Mm-hmm. And I want to make it clear that we both agree with what he's saying in theory. We just know that he doesn't actually believe it.
According to this view, judges should decide cases based upon particular outcomes in order to advance their politics. But the American people don't want their judges to pick sides before they hear a case. They want a judge who rules based upon what the law commands. This is the reason why all Supreme Court nominees since Ginsburg have declined to offer their personal opinions on the correctness of precedent. Seeking assurances from a nominee on how he will vote in certain cases or how he views certain precedent.
How many of these people who are getting dragged out are just reading Russian blogs? Like they're just getting all their news from Russian blogs. Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's just so. I mean, have you dived into any of the left media on this? What's going on?
On what they're saying about Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always saying what you think. Oh, he's a
rapist, right? Yeah.
Right.
Trump's buddy.
You see, someone tweeted there was some horrible opinion piece in the New York Times where they were saying, "Oh, white women have to come and collect all these white women that vote Republican and want to get Kavanaugh confirmed."
It's so not good, but I don't know how you stop it. People are addicted to this rage where we're falling back into the old tribal nature.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know what the solution is.
That I talked about Jonah Goldberg's book, Suicide of the West, and he's a complete right winger. I think you'd probably disagree with a lot of what he says, but what he says about tribalism being the state of nature. I did a live stream with another guy who's an anti-theist YouTuber, and I'm spacing on his name right now. But he was talking about Enlightenment values, and I kept trying to press him on what are Enlightenment values, what are Enlightenment values. And I kind of think Enlightenment values, now that I read that book and started thinking about it, are this individualist thing that Jordan Peterson constantly talks about. How that really is a cultural adaptation. It's completely against our nature to be individualistic and not to be tribal. So
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. And being tribal is definitely baked into our biology.
yeah, it feels good.
I don't think anyone that knows anything would say otherwise.
All these people who are yelling and getting taken out of this hearing, like they're going home to their team as heroes.
Right.
They're like, they're gonna get drunk tonight. They're gonna tie a KAVANAUGH on and really have some fun.
Well, it's like a sporting event for them. They're cheering. They're in the stands and they're yelling.
Yeah, big time.
Undermines judicial independence and essentially asks for a promise in exchange for a confirmation vote. It's unfair and unethical. Indeed, what litigant could expect a fair shake if the judge has already prejudged the case before the litigant even enters the courtroom? I expect Judge Kavanaugh,
See, he can't even say
in
it
fact,
right.
it's my advice to him, to follow the example set by Justice
She can't say
Ginsburg
it even right.
and all nominees that followed her, that a nominee should offer, quote, no hints, no forecasts, no previews, end of quote, on how they will vote. Justice Kagan, when asked about Roe v. Wade, said the following, quote, I do not believe it would be appropriate for me to comment on the merits of Roe v. Wade other than to say that it is a settled law entitled to precedential weight. The application of Roe to future cases and even its continued validity are issues likely to come before the court in the future, end of quote. Senators were satisfied with these answers on precedent. So, senators should be satisfied if Judge Kavanaugh answers similarly. This is my 15th
He just told him how to
Supreme Court
answer.
confirmation hearing since I joined the committee in 1981.
Oh my
31
God.
years ago, during my 4th Supreme Court confirmation hearing, liberal outside groups and their Senate allies engaged in an unprecedented smear campaign against Judge Robert Bork. As Mark Pulliam
Wait, hold on.
said in an op-ed
Bork
over the
was the
weekend,
last one they took
quote,
down.
The Bork
Bork they actually got
of
out.
Robert
What are you
Bork
doing?
One second.
taught special interest groups.
Okay, well, I just want him to finish the quote. But
Okay.
I saw a lot of people were bringing up to me about Bork. And I was like, where the fuck are they all getting this from? And now I know. They're getting it from him and this op-ed that he was talking about. And it's insane. It's completely fucking insane to me that they would bring up Bork, who I guess they're banking on the fact that people in America don't know who he is. Because, like, it's true when he was up for the Supreme Court, they brought up sexual assault allegations. But that's completely irrelevant. Bork was the guy who, when the special investigation, the special prosecutor and special investigators during Nixon's time, okay, were demanding the secret tapes that Nixon had where he was secretly recording everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Nixon told the Attorney General, you need to fire the special investigator. And the Attorney General said, I'm not going to do that. Go fuck yourself. So then Nixon fired him. So then the number 2 guy comes in this slot and Nixon does the same thing. And the number 2 guy says, I'm not going to fire the special investigator. And Nixon fires him. And then it was either there's a third who got fired or the third was Bork. And Bork didn't. And then, and Bork admitted later that Nixon told him, if you fire the special investigator, I will make you a Supreme Court justice.
Oh my goodness.
And so Bork agreed, and Bork fired the special investigator.
Oh my
and this is
goodness.
what started Watergate.
Oh my goodness. I had
Okay.
no idea all that stuff.
Right. So the fucking so as far as I'm concerned, Bork should never, ever, ever be allowed anywhere near politics ever again after
Yeah.
that moment. And the fact that Reagan nominated him to the Supreme Court nomination is baffling and very telling of what Reagan believed. And so it's just insane to me that people are bringing up Bork as like, oh, he got so unfairly railroaded.
You know that people they're out there looking for evidence just to make a case, any case, right? Any evidence will do.
Right.
It doesn't have to be great evidence.
It's your favorite motivated reason.
Yeah, both sides do it though. I mean,
Of course.
they're out
That's
there
human
looking,
nature.
They're out there looking for more sexual like allegations, right? On the left. And on the right, they're bringing up Bork. This is why it's just so, I mean, it doesn't get boring diving into all this nonsense. Like, I mean, I'm not saying what we're doing is boring. We're actually trying to get to the bottom of what's going on, but taking these partisan stances doesn't this wear you out? It seems like these people probably die 10 years before their time.
Well, it's probably the opposite though, because they're not thinking. They don't have to, expel energy on thought. They just say, "Oh, because there was like 4 or 5 people that tweeted me that were like, "Oh, bring up this Bork claim," and they didn't know who the fuck Bork was. They just read it in this stupid op-ed, or they heard Grassley talking about it, and then the talking point gets regurgitated. I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" You could just Google search Bork in 2 seconds, and you'd be like, "Oh, that's not a person I want to, put my faith behind."
Wow.
That they could demonize judicial nominees based solely on their worldview. Worse, character assassinations proved an effective tactic.
His
nearly
worldview
sinking
of trying to
Justice
stop
Clarence
Nixon from
Thomas's
being impeached.
appointment 4 years later.
Well, also his worldview of it's a bribe, for heaven's sakes. That's exactly what it is. He took a bribe.
Yeah.
But he also said, continuing to quote, by confirming Judge Kavanaugh, the Senate can go some way toward atoning for shameful treatment of Justice Robert Bork 31 years ago, end of quote. Judge Kavanaugh is one of the most qualified nominees, if not the most qualified nominee that I've seen. A graduate of Yale Law School, clerking 3 federal judges, including a man he nominated to replace. He spent all but...
See, that's the problem. Like if you just listen to the words that Grassley's saying, it starts off and it sounds all so noble and good, and then it just fucking goes into crazy town at the end.
You got a super chat on Bork. Pringle Dingle, $1.99. Regardless of Nixon, Ted Kennedy still smeared Bork. And I don't doubt that they smeared the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's bad enough he took a bribe. They probably talked about his sexual impropriety.
Well, see, it's weird. Like, I don't know. I mean, I wasn't alive at the time, so I didn't witness it firsthand. So I don't even know why they would even bother or have to talk about any sexual assault allegations. Like, shouldn't just the bribe thing, I'm assuming he admitted that afterwards, so they probably didn't know that. But just the fact that he was, participated in protecting Nixon, who everyone now knows was a fucking liar and a criminal. Like, why shouldn't that just automatically disqualify you?
Yeah, definitely.
3 years of his career in public service and has served as a judge for 12 years on the D.C. Circuit, the most influential federal circuit court. He has one of the most impressive records for a lower court judge in the Supreme Court. In at least a dozen separate cases, the Supreme Court adopted positions advanced by Judge Kavanaugh. The American Bar Association, whose assessment Democratic leaders have called the gold standard of judicial evaluations, rated Judge Kavanaugh unanimously well qualified. A review of Judge Kavanaugh's extensive record demonstrates a deep commitment to the rule of law. He has written eloquently that both judges and federal agents...
Why is Jennifer Love Hewitt sitting behind him? I don't get that.
You know, it's funny that he brought up the bar association because this was like a month ago. But now that they're saying that they're reconsidering their support of him due to his temperament during
During the hearing?
During the hearing, yeah. Since he got angry.
Yeah, I don't know. All bets are off when you're accused of sexual assault.
Yeah, I'm not saying I agree with it. I just think it's funny that he's bringing this up in hindsight.
Maybe it's like what is the Kobayashi test that they do on Star Trek? Maybe it's like, oh, we're just kidding about the sexual assault. we accuse everyone of sexual assault. We just want to see how you react.
Oh, okay, yeah. For the nerds, for the non-nerds who don't know, that's the no-win scenario.
Yeah, totally.
Are bound by the law Congress enacts. And he's criticized those who substitute their own judgment about what a statute should say for what the statute actually says. After President nominated Judge Kavanaugh, I said this would be the most thorough and transparent confirmation process in history. I say that statement even regarding all the discussion we've had this morning. It has proven to be.
Does Grassley know the sexual assault charges are coming? I mean, Boxer knows. We know that she knows, but.
I'm assuming he doesn't know.
Yeah.
From Judge Kavanaugh's authoring 307 opinions.
Boxer's got her poker face
joined
on too.
Hundreds more, amounting to more than 10,000
like, they're gonna
pages.
Get kicked in the nuts
If
with this
submitted,
one.
You mean
submitted
Feinstein?
17,000
Oh,
pages
yeah, it
of
is
speeches,
Feinstein.
articles, and other materials to
Who's
the committee,
Boxer?
along
Boxer
with
is
this
the other-
120-page written
the other
response
California
to the
senator.
questionnaire that the committee set out.
They're both technically
These
my
adds up to
senators.
27,000 pages of Judge Kavanaugh's record already available to the American people, and we received just shy of 500,000 pages of emails and other documents from Judge Kavanaugh's service as an executive branch lawyer, which is more than we received for the last 5 Supreme Court nominees. Every one of these more than 483 pages of executive branch records are available to any senator 24/7.
I'm going to go ahead a little bit.
I pushed
go
for
ahead.
federal
Military service can, in fact,
See what Diane
and a
has to
host
say.
of case where a young woman in Texas.
and more.
That's a case where a young woman in Texas, I believe, was seeking an abortion. In that dissent, you argued that even though the young woman had complied with the Texas parental notification law and secured an approval from a judge, she should nonetheless be barred. In making your argument, you ignored and, I believe, mischaracterized a Supreme Court precedent. You reasoned that Jane Doe should not be unable to exercise her right to choose because she did not have family and friends to make her decision. The argument rewrites Supreme Court precedent.
That's pretty crazy if it's true. If that's a true interpretation of what he said.
That Jane
That-
Doe should have to. I mean, that's a standard conservative position.
Yeah, that you should have to consult with your friends and family before you get an abortion.
Well,
Like, that's
not all of
who?
them, but I mean, I don't know where you're at on parental consent, but I mean, it's kind of.
Well, I don't know what the age of the girl was. I don't think she was underage.
I think she was actually.
Didn't she? She said she was 17, didn't she?
Yeah, that's underage.
I guess that's underage.
Yeah.
But still, fuck it.
I mean, but so you're not
Let a
you're not
17-year-old get an
you're not in
abortion.
favor of parental consent? Not to put you
I
on,
guess it
not to put you
depends
on
on
the
the
spot
age.
or anything, but I mean, it's a
guess it depends on-
contentious issue.
No, no, no.
Obviously, if it was my daughter, I'd want to know for. But
Yes.
so
Well,
I mean,
it's part of the problem is that we're hearing her interpretation of what he said. So we don't know exactly what he said because he could have said what you're saying, that, oh, a 17-year-old should have to talk to their parents first.
yeah,
But she's making it sound like that's not what he said.
it's kind of crazy that there's all these laws. They're like therapists and doctors and stuff like that can let girls that are underage on the pill and stuff like that without their parents even knowing, which just seems weird to me.
That's kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's part of the problem is that you have a lot of parents who, well, I don't know, because
Shitty
then
parents.
well, yes, obviously, but it falls into the problem of, okay, well, can a parent can't do anything they want to their child, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
So you have to figure out what the bounds of that is.
Yeah, but not even knowing what's going on kind of interferes with your ability to even be a parent.
That's true. I do agree with that. So I guess I don't know the answer. I don't
See,
I don't have a
Dianne
good answer.
Feinstein is like, just, let them have abortions at 13, for heaven's sakes. Why you got to be such a buzzkill?
Well, you probably shouldn't be having kids at 13. I would agree with that one. If you're 13, you should probably get an abortion if you're pregnant.
Oh, my God. You
Hey,
shouldn't be having sex. Abstinent only.
Well, obviously.
Enforced
obviously,
monogamy. Come on.
Right, but this is after they've already made the mistake of having unprotected sex.
Right.
And if adopted, we believe would require courts to determine whether a young woman had a sufficient support network when making her decision, even in cases where she has gone to court. This reason.
Well, but though in the example that she said the girl had a judge say it was okay.
Mm-hmm.
So doesn't that supersede? Wait, first of all, that confuses the issue. If this went to a fucking court, there's no way her family and friends didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. Well, the parents probably sued after the fact or something. I don't know. They're just giving us the cliff notes. They never give you enough. And not only that, the problem with these partisan hearings is they only give you their side of the case. Yeah, exactly. So you jump from one person, you only hear their side of the case. And then you jump to another person, they go to a completely different topic and you only hear their side of the case. It's like,
right.
These things are not designed to elicit truth. They're designed to elicit an outcome.
Well, yeah, and they're designed to, they want to get at a talking point so they could put it in a commercial or something when they run for re-election.
So bad.
I believe, demonstrates that you are willing to disregard precedent. And if that's the case, because just saying something settled law, it really is it correct law? The impact of overturning Roe is much broader than a woman's right to choose. It's about protecting the most personal decisions we all make from government intrusion. Roe is one in a series of cases that upheld an individual's right to decide who to marry. It's not the government's right. Where to send your children to school, the government can't get involved. What kind of medical care you can receive at the end of life, as well as whether and when to have a family. And I deeply believe that all these cases serve as a bulwark of privacy rights that protect all Americans from over-involvement of the government in their lives. And to me, that's extraordinarily important.
Bullshit. She wants the nanny state. She wants the government to make every decision you ever do.
Right.
I've never heard such nonsense.
That's why, oh my God, it's so annoying because it's like, yeah, for her to talk about privacy rights, it's like Democrats don't care about privacy rights typically.
Yeah.
But then the people that are supposed to care about privacy rights, they don't care about privacy rights when it comes to abortion either.
Man.
The whole thing's just stupid.
Important. Next, I'd like to address the president's promise to appoint a nominee blessed by the NRA. In reviewing your judicial opinions and documents, it's pretty clear that your views go well beyond simply being pro-gun. And I'd like to straighten that out. It's my understanding that during a lecture at Notre Dame Law School, you said you would be the, quote, first to acknowledge that most other lower judges, court judges, have disagreed with your views on the Second Amendment. For example, in District of Columbia v. Heller, you wrote that unless guns were regulated either at the time of the Constitution was written or traditionally throughout history, they cannot be regulated now. In your own words, gun laws are unconstitutional unless they are, quote, traditional or common in the United States. You concluded that banning assault weapons is unconstitutional because they have not historically been banned. And this logic means that even as weapons become
Nuclear
more
weapons are
advanced and
gonna
more
be-
dangerous,
Yeah.
they cannot be regulated.
Like if that's really what he said, I mean, again, we're getting her side of it, but that's pretty fucking psychotic if he said that.
Yeah. Suitcase nukes. Can't regulate them. Weren't around. Hand grenades. Weren't around. Flamethrowers. Weren't around.
Going around. Only muskets and cannons can
Oh
be
my
regulated. And Gatling guns can be regulated. Nothing else.
Only the ones with a crank, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Only the ones with the crank.
Judge Easterbrook, as you know, a conservative judge from the Seventh Circuit, concluded that that reasoning was absurd. And he pointed out that a law's existence.
You know what? It's funny because if you read Heller, which is the case she's talking about, even Scalia said that that's bullshit and that the government can regulate guns like to any capacity that they want.
It's the Second Amendment says a well-regulated militia being, but they made the Constitution ambiguous just so they could get it passed. I mean,
Right.
That's a historical fact. So, I mean, we've been interpreting the Constitution ever since.
Yeah, of course. But and even though both sides of the issue, they debate the gun thing completely stupid. Or I guess they debate it emotionally. They don't debate it like factually. Because we already know that the Second Amendment doesn't mean the government can't regulate guns because we already do regulate guns. So it's already a lost argument.
Darth Pahaggett for $10 says, "Don't be a cipher, be a neo."
Exactly. That should be tattooed on their foreheads.
Yes, definitely. These are well,
They're
They're
not even
just-
ciphers.
they're just trying to get reelected. They're just their mouthpiece is just for a constituency. I'm very cynical about this. I believe in selectorate theory. In the Dictator's Handbook, he brilliantly points out that these people have just carved out electoral niches that they're just trying to make happy.
Definitely.
Sarah Jessica Parker in the chat says something hilarious too. Give guns to kids so they can defend themselves from pedos.
And other school shooters.
Yeah, logic.
And then they could demand abortion rights from their parents.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Instance,
the mouthpieces is just kind of, I mean, this is why people hate politics, though, right?
Right.
It's
Can't be
funny
the
though that
source.
that it's so obvious. Like, this is the beauty of actually being a neo, being a centrist, is that you see it on both sides. The
Yeah.
people who are hyper partisans, it's just they believe what their side says, and they see right through the other side just as clearly as we will.
Mm-hmm.
They see that it's utter bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. That's a
Yeah.
good point.
So I mean, just being able to see both sides being utter bullshit it does leave you very lonely in the political fight. Very cynical way to be, but
Well, that's why is it Haidt or did he take that from someone else about morality binds and blinds?
no, it's his. Yeah.
Because I mean that's like one of the most, I would say that's one of the most genius statements
Yeah.
of modern times.
He even
'Cause-
made it rhyme, which is even
Exactly, he made it rhyme.
third rule of moral psychology: morality binds and blinds. Yeah.
Yep, it's exactly what you're saying. It's so easy to see when your opponents are being logically inconsistent.
Yeah. Yep.
of its own constitutional validity. In fact, I'm left with the fact that your reasoning is far outside the mainstream of legal thought, and that it surpasses the views of Justice Scalia, who was clearly a pro-gun justice. Even Scalia understood that weapons that are like M16 rifles or weapons that are most useful in military service can, in fact, be regulated. And there's no question that assault weapons, like the AR-15.
Heller, for those who don't know, the case Heller was about in Washington D.C. They had banned all handguns,
Right.
and that's what the case was about. Was whether they were allowed to just put a blanket ban on handguns, and the Supreme Court said no. I don't remember what the exact reasoning was, but they said you can't just blanketly ban handguns, which I agree with. I don't think you should be able to ban handguns.
Yeah, I've been really persuaded by the pro-gun side of the argument.
Mm-hmm. Well, in what regards?
Just all of the, I'm a bleeding heart in essence, and the whole idea about making guns harder to get, I think, makes them harder to get for the people who need them most, which are poor people who
Right.
lack proper police protection. Like if you're going to call the police department and they're going to take 35 minutes to get to your house, you need a gun. You need a gun.
Mm-hmm.
And just these expensive permits and whatnot, I mean, that's just making it harder for the people who need guns most to not have access to them.
Mm-hmm.
So I have been persuaded by the argument that the criminals will still be able to get their guns, and the people who need them, the people who are the law-abiding citizens, are the ones that are going to go through the permit process and maybe not
Right.
get a gun because it's been made unaffordable through this permitting process. So I agree with you on being able to trace them, and it seems like we have
Yes.
technology and stuff like that I don't know why that has to be expensive and why expensive permits have to be involved in tracing them. I mean, it seems like you could have a serial number and just a receipt. So,
well, that's my problem with a lot of the pro-gun advocates, because they say the argument that you just said, but it's really like a Mott and Bailey, because that's not the real argument. The real argument is they just don't want any restrictions on guns whatsoever.
right.
Because what you said, that makes sense. So then you say, okay, well, what's the practical solution to that? And it's, okay, how do we keep guns in the hands of law-abiding citizens and out of the hands of criminals?
Right.
And well, it's, is what we talked about. It's everything has to be registered and traced,
Yeah.
so you know who's giving guns to criminals.
Right.
But they're against that.
Yeah, permits have to be like $5 though. I mean, they have to be
Right.
like fishing
Well,
license
it
type.
should all be done automatically by the government. Not, it doesn't. There shouldn't
Right.
be a huge burden on the individuals,
On the
for selling
purchaser.
gun.
Yeah, exactly. It should be like included in the
Right.
sales tax of the gun or whatever.
There shouldn't. I mean, I don't see why it would cost so expensively if they just put a fucking serial number on the guns or whatever somewhere, and then everyone just puts in the computer so they can keep track of it. Like, that's not. How is that expensive process?
Yeah, exactly. And they have ways of doing serial numbers now that are even like you can't file them off and stuff. They can do,
Right. They're like
yeah.
inside the metal or something.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, and they can even I don't know how, but there's a way that they can do that with bullets that will retain it. I don't know. It's probably not on the slug. It's probably on the shell or something
Yeah.
that will retain the number after it's been fired, which is like, okay, so that means if you find bullet shells at a crime scene, you can figure out who shot the gun. Why would
Yeah.
you not want that?
Yeah, because you're a senator. You want to be able to murder your competition.
Because you're talking about, and you can't even make the argument that hurts law-abiding citizens. Because, like, okay, the police are finding shells at a crime scene.
Yeah.
It's only that, like, so I don't know. That's why I get annoyed with the argument.
Yeah. A lot of times these arguments are just we want more liberal tiers. Or we want more
Yes, let's make a
conservative
list of
tiers.
everyone that has a gun. I'm
Yeah.
totally on board with that. That's my point. They already have a list of all your porn that you look at.
Yeah, Google
They have
knows
a
all
list
that
of
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, they have a
They
list
know
of
what
all
you
your
like.
property.
They know what you're into.
Exactly.
They know about the midget porn, Sitch.
They know all this stuff. Right. So it's like it's just ridiculous. Pragmatic Culture for $2 says Cruz versus Beta. Do it, Sitch. Do it. He's talking about you, Brendan.
That's the debate, right?
Yeah, that's the debate.
Yeah, I want to watch that as well.
We can do both.
We can cue. I mean, I don't know how much more you want to talk about this. Maybe we can switch over to that.
How do you want? I'm fine with that.
Let us
I'll have
know
to
in the
go.
chat how much further you want us to go on this. I mean, I feel like this is putting everyone to sleep. Let Feinstein finish her ridiculous point.
Okay.
And let's find out, does Jennifer Love Hewitt speak? Because I'm kind of curious
No.
what she has to say.
If we're gonna switch, I want to talk about. I'll skip ahead to Ted Cruz because he just fuck that guy.
Yeah, do
I
it.
guess we'll talk about that if we do the debate.
Go to Ted Cruz now. I don't care what time.
Okay. I'm trying to. I don't remember exactly.
This
where
thing is 7 hours, so it's obvious we're not gonna.
Yeah.
Oh, that was a cringy moment there when he asked her. Did you watch that?
Which part?
When the Democratic senator asked him if he'd ever blacked out, and he asked her, "Well, have you ever blacked out?" It's like, what? Who's on trial here?
Yeah. It was pretty dumb.
Okay, so Cruz screws Kavanaugh.
No, he just says dumb shit.
I want to discuss what this hearing is about and what it's not about.
That's bullshit right off the
Yeah,
bat.
as you
right off the
said,
bat. He's
can
lying.
always overrule its precedent. Mr. Chairman, we've seen this movie before.
What
We
happened?
know how
Where
it
did
ends.
Cruz go?
The sad
Well,
fact
I went back a little bit.
is that there is no consequence for telling the committee fairy tales
This thing doesn't track
about
very
stare
well.
decisis.
Judge
It's
Kavanaugh,
a
welcome.
7-hour thing.
Welcome to your family, to your friends, demonstrating your good judgment. Your wife was born and raised in West Texas, and you and she have been friends of Heidi and mine for 20 years. Thank you.
Is that
for your
his
decades
wife?
Of public service. And I'm
He's
sorry
married to
that your
Jennifer Love
daughters,
Hewitt?
had to endure the
Really?
political circus of this morning.
No, that's not. I don't think that's his wife.
That is, alas, the world that is Washington in 2018. I want to discuss what this hearing is about and what it's not about. First, this hearing is not about the qualifications of the nominee. Judge Kavanaugh is, by any objective measure, unquestionably qualified for the Supreme Court. Everyone agrees he's one of the most respected federal judges in the
Everyone
country.
agrees.
He has impeccable academic credentials, even if you did go to Yale. And you've
Just made a
served over
Yale
a
joke.
decade on the U.S. Court of Appeals for the D.C. Circuit, often referred to as the second highest court in the land. So our Democratic colleagues are not trying to make the argument that Judge Kavanaugh is not qualified. Indeed, I haven't heard anyone even attempt to make that argument.
Yeah, they are. What do you think they're talking
Second.
about?
This hearing is not about his judicial record. Judge Kavanaugh has over 300 published opinions, which altogether amount to over 10,000 pages issued in his role as a federal appellate judge. Everyone agrees a judge's record is by far the most important indicium of what kind of justice that nominee will be. And tellingly, we've heard very little today from Democratic senators about the actual substance of Judge Kavanaugh's judicial record.
So what were we listening to?
Yeah,
we just
what were
listened
they
to
just
Dianne
talking
Feinstein. We just listened to Dianne Feinstein going over what she thought was problems with his opinions.
Yeah. This was a prepared statement before anyone ever spoke.
Exactly. And part of what he's referencing, because we skipped around, was that they wanted a bunch of documents from Kavanaugh. And the Kavanaugh team gave them like 48,000 pages of documents like the night before this hearing.
Oh,
So they had no way of looking at them.
they information dumped them.
They information dumped them. And they also, there was like hundreds of thousands of pages of when Kavanaugh was a direct advisor to Bush, and they haven't produced any of that information.
Wow.
Third, it's important to understand today is also not about documents. We've heard a lot of arguments this morning about documents. There's an old saying for trial lawyers: if you have the facts, pound the facts. If you have the law, pound the law. If you have neither, pound the table. We're seeing a lot of table pounding this morning.
And I'm doing all of it.
The Democrats are focused on procedural issues because they don't have substantive points strong enough to derail this nomination. They don't have substantive criticism with Judge Kavanaugh's actual judicial record, so they're trying to divert everyone with procedural issues. But let's talk about the documents for a moment. The claims that the Democrats are putting forward on documents don't withstand any serious scrutiny. Judge Kavanaugh has produced 511,948 pages of documents. That includes more than 17,000 pages in direct response to this committee's written questionnaire, which is the most comprehensive response ever submitted to this committee. The more than 500,000 pages of documents turned into this committee is more than the number of pages we've received for the last 5 Supreme Court nominees combined.
Now, he says that like it's a good thing, but isn't that a bad thing? If someone wants information from you and you give them 500,000 pages and say, okay, go find the information.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson's truth comes to mind. Where there's too much information, you have to hierarchically order it. That's yeah. Who knows what is in there? They probably gave it on paper too, where they couldn't even like search it.
They said, here's 500,000 pages, but we're not going to give you that section of pages, which was the one you actually wanted when I was an advisor to Bush.
Listen to that fact again. The over 500,000 documents turned over to this committee is more than the last 5 nominees submitted to this committee combined. So what's all the fuss over the documents that are not turned over? Most of those concern Judge Kavanaugh's 3 years as the staff secretary for President George W. Bush. Now, many people don't know what a staff secretary is.
Now, we're not going to get to it because we'll stop watching after this, but it's hilarious because literally like 20 minutes after this, Grassley completely debunks everything Ted Cruz says by accident.
What does he say?
We'll see. I'll show you what Ted Cruz says first.
He does. But that's the position in charge of all of the paper that comes into and out of the Oval Office. Critically, the staff secretary is not the author of the paper coming into and out of the Oval Office. That paper is typically written by the Attorney General, by the Secretary of State, by other cabinet members, by other senior White House officials. The staff secretary is simply the funnel for collecting their views and then for transferring the paper back and forth. In other words, those documents written by other people say nothing, zero, about Judge Kavanaugh's views, and they say nothing, zero, about what kind of justice Judge Kavanaugh would make. But they are, by necessity, the most sensitive and confidential documents in a White House. They are the documents that are going to the president. This is the advice and deliberations of the president at the senior level, and the staff secretary is the conduit for those documents. So why is it that the Democrats are putting so much energy in saying, hand over all of those documents? Because they know beyond a shadow of doubt that President George W. Bush's White House team is not going to allow every piece of paper that went to the president to be made public any more than any other White House would.
Notice how he said he switched his position from the documents to every piece of paper, which is what no one was asking for. But because what his position is okay, Kavanaugh was just like the guy who managed the papers, and he didn't put his opinion in any of them, so it's irrelevant. That's what he just said. 20 minutes later, Grassley says the exact opposite. He says those papers are protected by executive privilege because Kavanaugh was giving his direct opinion to George W. Bush about important issues.
That's hilarious.
So it's so absurd.
This thing is 7 hours long, though. Nobody catches any of that stuff, and nobody even really cares. They're like, when are we going to get to the stuff? When are we going to get to the sex stuff, man? People don't understand.
That's the problem. And then the media does a shitty job because they don't point this stuff out either.
They don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care at all. They're like, when am I going to get invited to the correspondence dinner this year? Oh my God, I hope so. Wouldn't it be great? Oh, can you imagine my Instagram after that?
And another issue, because we're going to skip it, is the problem with the executive privilege thing is, okay, so the Democrats say they want these papers, and then I guess the White House now, which doesn't make sense since it was during the Bush administration, but whatever, they say, no, we can't give you that because of executive privilege. So then the way the process is supposed to happen is then they have to bring a case forward for why it's protected by executive privilege. And then the Senate decides whether it is or not. But they didn't do any of that. They just said, nope, it's executive privilege. And then they don't give them anything.
That sucks. The we got a super chat, by the way, which is an interesting question. I've been thinking about it ever since it popped up.
Kohath for $3.99. Where does our sovereignty come from?
I mean, it's not like it's a difficult question or anything.
Well, you said you were thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking, well, it comes from the institutions that protect our sovereignty. I mean, without those institutions, we don't really have sovereignty. They don't have it in North Korea because their institutions are structured completely differently. But I might just say it comes from God, just to punt, just to get out of it. Seems like that might be a good answer. It comes from God.
Well, I mean, I mean, ideally it's supposed to come from the people, right? Because the people vote in the people who are in charge of everything.
Yeah, but your sovereignty is taken away as soon as you murder someone or commit a crime.
Right,
I mean,
but that's
you're
because
incarcerated, and that's.
But it's supposed to be because the laws are supposed to represent the joint agreement that everyone says this is how we're all going to live.
Yeah,
and if you violate it, then you go to prison.
Yeah, if you behave incorrectly, you lose your sovereignty.
Right.
Unless you're Donald Trump, then all bets are off. And do whatever you want. Grab him by the pussy. It's completely acceptable.
Right.
Republican or Democrat, no White House would allow every piece of paper that went to and from the president to be made public. Indeed, there are rules and laws and procedures for when and how presidential papers become public.
Which they didn't follow in this instance.
And the reason the Democrats are fighting so loudly on this issue is they're making a demand they know is impossible to meet, and by the way, is utterly irrelevant to what actually Judge Kavanaugh thinks, believes, or has said. It would open up all sorts of fishing expeditions to attack, relitigate George W. Bush's record as president and what various cabinet members and senior advisors might or might not have said. But it is, at the end of the day, simply an attempt to distract and delay. And indeed, the multiple motions we've seen from Democrats, delay this confirmation, that reveals the whole joke. Their objective is delay. So what is this fight about? If it's not about documents, if it's not about Judge Kavanaugh's credentials, if it's not about his judicial record, what is this fight about? I believe this fight is nothing more and nothing less than an attempt by our Democratic colleagues to relitigate the 2016 presidential election. 2016 was a hard-fought election all around. And it was the first presidential election in...
he just kind of goes on and on.
Yeah. So. He's, I mean, obviously, why is he not talking about the fact that they dicked Obama out of a Supreme Court? Because
it doesn't serve him.
Ted Cruz, I think you might want to... It seems more like it's an attempt to relitigate the fact that they stole a Supreme Court nomination away from Obama. Seems like that's what they're trying to relitigate, not the not the presidential election. You're wrong, Ted Cruz. You're completely wrong. I think your political analysis is wrong.
Should I switch it over?
Sure. Well, I was wondering, does Kavanaugh ever speak in this thing?
I never got to that point.
Oh, really? All these, like, how boring for him to sit there for 7 hours and he doesn't get to talk.
It's weird because it's basically just him sitting there and all the different senators saying, like, giving their opening statements.
What happens if I click
For
this?
reflection on the state of...
What are you clicking? What are you doing?
I clicked something incorrectly. I guess I got to copy paste it.
Well,
For reflection but the truth, so help you God.
Did you want to do this?
This is what people want to see.
Okay, well, did you want to do this or do you want to do the debate?
Just for a few minutes, let's just look at this.
Okay, because I don't know when she starts talking, but
we'll just...
Okay.
Brett Kavanaugh and Mark Johnson.
Do they start... This is the lady that doesn't ask any of the good questions. Oh, here, she's already started.
This is despite the fact.
Oh, no.
And 6 requests, 6th full field background investigation of Judge Kavanaugh since 1993, 25
Look at
years.
that look on her face. She's like, what the hell am I doing here? Why did I ever do this? Don't you think?
No, she's an icon now.
They were saying
win-
on that other stream, I was on a stream earlier, they were saying that none of her family is there with her. Is that true? Do you know if that's true?
I have no idea if that's true. But you were on the right wing stream though, so
Yeah, totally.
this is the left wing liberal stream.
Where does she talk? Who's that? Where did that come in? They have a commercial in here?
I don't know. See, you think on the testimony
You indicated
where she talks, there would
that
be
you
some of her
were
talking.
Yeah, it's the full testimony, unless I'm skipping past it. Oh, here it is.
Area on the first floor of the house. I drank one beer. Brett and Mark were visibly drunk.
Oh my God.
This is what you want to watch? You want to watch her
It's
talk about how she was...
It's so cringy, don't you think?
Oh, God. That's wrong. She's talking about something traumatic that she thinks happened to her.
I don't know.
I mean, it's definitely possible it happened and it was just someone else, right?
Yeah, no, that's what I want to know. I mean, I totally believe that something happened, obviously.
Right.
I don't think she made it up out of whole cloth. I think the way these things usually work is like you have a memory, but things change that memory every time you tell the story.
Mm-hmm.
We're so tuned to be social creatures that when you tell it to somebody, they feed back to you the points that they think are salacious or whatever.
Right.
Like they say something like, "Oh, I can't believe he did this or that."
Mm-hmm.
And pretty soon something that wasn't even really a big deal to her is a huge deal to her.
Right. And then just also your brain's normal what's the word I'm looking? I don't know, but like your brain normally just wants to fill in all the gaps that you're not going to remember.
The Ray Kurzweil wrote a book on how the brain works. And he said that all of our memories are stored as a list of attributes. And they're kind of pinged to the emotional significance of those attributes. So when you call up a memory, you're basically calling up a list of attributes and then recreating that memory.
Well, what do you mean? I don't know what you mean exactly by list of attributes.
Like there were stairs. So your brain writes down stairs.
Okay.
Right. Upstairs, right? It writes down
I see.
bathroom across the hall. Okay. It writes down bed. It doesn't.
Right. Okay.
It
So
doesn't
like
write down
bullet points, basically.
Yeah, the photographic memory part is just, and then every time you call it up, there's a possibility that you get one of those bullet points wrong, and then you're recreating a memory and you're resaving it with a different bullet point.
Right.
Like all
or
of a
you
sudden
could get
it
all the
wasn't.
bullet points right, and then you get something that ties the bullet points together wrong.
Yeah, reorders the bullet points or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a bullet point about, this is why it would be essential to know if one of those bullet points was someone that she knew. Like, is one of those bullet points stranger or familiar, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I think she did know him, but I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know why they didn't press that. I kept watching this thing going, oh man, why aren't they asking that question? Why aren't they asking that question? They never ask it. This is boring.
Them in my letter to Ranking Member Feinstein, and
Do you want
again
me
in a
to
letter to Chairman
switch it?
Grassley.
Well, do you have the link?
I understand
Yeah, I
and
do.
appreciate the importance of your hearing from me directly.
I wonder if he'll sue her.
No, that would look terrible for him.
Really? I mean, if it was a false accusation, why would it look terrible?
Yeah, but how do you prove it's a false accusation?
I guess you're right.
And also, it would just look bad. He's like, oh, this guy got confirmed as court, and now he's suing someone that accused him of sexual assault.
Yeah, let it go. Let it go.
Like if you had some proof that she made it up. then like she admits it, like in a secret phone recording, then yeah, I would agree. But you're not going to get that.
The fact that she's a psychologist kind of pisses me off a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
Because she should know better than. Like I have memories from. Go ahead.
But what if it did happen? What if it was him? Right? We just don't know because there's no evidence. Doesn't mean it didn't happen.
Yeah, I would question my memory from 30 years ago. I mean, I have stuff that has happened to me 30 years ago that I just
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Man, it's awful.
I mean, I agree with what you're saying. Like I couldn't remember anything that happened 20 years ago very well.
I guess I'm not saying that. I guess they don't ask the questions just to give me any kind of confidence, and she should know, as a psychologist, she should know there is this list of questions that are important to me verifying my story, right?
Right.
She should know how memory is stored. She should know about, I mean, they're really careful when they question people. I mean, back in 20, 30 years ago, when they interrogated people, the police would get all kinds of confessions out of people because they were asking, they were leading the witness, or I don't know what you call them when you're just interrogating them.
Mm-hmm.
They're making these people create memories, and soon those memories are real memories to them. Psychologists are the worst for doing this.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe she's just a terrible psychologist. There's a ton of terrible. I've been to a psychologist before. I've been to a number of psychologists, and I always think this guy is awful. This guy's terrible. This guy's doing more damage than good.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just because they're inept. They don't know how the brain works.
Yeah. It depends on, like, if she didn't name him as being the one until recently, like if the original memory was someone attacked me, and then some point later, like years and years later, she inserted Brett Kavanaugh, then I would agree with you that that's, as a psychologist, she should know that's a dangerous road. But that's part of the problem, is that I don't think they asked. Did they ask that question? I don't think they did.
And I was like, ask the damn question.
Because that would be the question. Because if she said it was him,
ask her.
Right. If she said it was him from the beginning, that would be like, oh, that's strong. But if she didn't say it was him from the beginning, suddenly it's a far weaker claim.
And she claims that she went to this club, this country club where Brett Kavanaugh worked. Then evidently this was it happened. No, I guess it happened in a house close to there. Like there's no what are your memories of Brett Kavanaugh before this event happened, right? So it makes me think it was a stranger thing, a total stranger thing,
right?
Which makes me think this is completely weak. This is weak sauce. You got the wrong guy.
Well, but as you said, these hearings aren't for people trying to find the truth.
No, they're just for grandstanding. They're so Ted Cruz can make up a bunch of shit that's debunked like 30 minutes later that nobody realizes. What's that?
And it was debunked by another Republican, which is what makes it so funny.
I know. Kohath for $1.99 says mistaken identity is a common thing. Doppelganger, I think you're saying. But yeah. No, this is why I kept saying.
Right.
Like, ask her the question. I want to know how many parties she went to that Brett Kavanaugh was at. I want to know what friends did they have in common. I want to know what classes did they take together. I want to know, how much did she know this guy, right? Like, was he just a guy that worked at the place where she went swimming, and a friend of hers said, "Oh yeah, that's Brett Kavanaugh." Who knows? Maybe it's the other guy that works there, and she mixed up the names.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You're right. These are all good questions.
Yeah, but nobody's asking these questions. Yeah.
And that's why you should run for Senate.
Well, there is the whole LSD thing that they'd probably find. They'd probably listen to this.
Against it.
Yeah. Why would I want the whole vast left-wing conspiracy breathing down my So pull up the do you have the link for the other one?
Yeah.
Election. This is volatile.
I think our
So what is this election for? Is this
For
Senate?
Senate.
Oh, okay.
Senator in Texas.
Oh my god.
Okay, but before this, should I explain why I hate Ted Cruz and why I'm very biased against him?
totally. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me explain why. For as triggered as I am against Stossel, I'm perhaps more triggered against Ted Cruz.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very biased against him. And the reason for this is because if you recall, it was in 2014 or 2015 when they had the debt ceiling vote.
Oh.
And the debt ceiling is the dumbest possible thing imaginable, which I'm trying to figure out a quick way to explain it. Is basically Congress passes a budget, and then the president or the executive branch is supposed to look at the budget and then do what the budget says, right? Like that's how it's supposed to work. But then there's this weird third step after that, where after the president does what the budget says, then Congress has to reapprove that the president did what the Congress already told him to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what the debt ceiling is. So debt ceiling is basically like, well, here's an easier example. Basically, Congress goes to a restaurant and they order like 10 dishes of lobster, and then they eat it. And then after they get the bill, they look at it and they look at it and then they look at the president and say, how could you do this? How could you order all these lobsters?
Right.
Okay. That's what the debt ceiling is. It's a terrible thing. It should be removed completely. It's fucking stupid. So the reason I hate Ted Cruz is because when the debt ceiling vote came up, he was the one that pushed to shut down the government and to not have the Congress pay, give the ability for the government to basically pay its debts. And that's the reason that's so terrible is because, as we all know, the dollar isn't backed by gold or anything physical. The dollar is backed only by the idea that the American government will pay its debts.
Yeah.
So if you come along and you say, I don't think the U.S. government should pay its debts, you're attacking the very legitimacy of U.S. currency and the world economy, which uses
treason.
US dollar. It is. It's very. I would say it's treasonous.
Yeah.
And Ted Cruz did exactly that. And the only fucking reason he did it, because there's no logical reason to do it unless you hate the country, which I don't think he does. The only fucking reason he did it was because he knew it would give him lots of publicity, and that's how he would start his 2016 presidential campaign.
Yeah.
Was making him center stage at that moment.
Which Donald Trump just totally bitch slapped him all over the place.
And then no one saw Trump coming. So it turned out it was all for naught.
So now you know the truth about old Lion Ted.
Well, now you know why I hate him. Because
you're allowed to hate him now that he's Lion Ted, right?
Exactly. I didn't know anything. Well, I didn't care about him before then. I was just like, whatever, he's just some fucking guy. But now after that, I was like, oh, fuck this guy.
He does have a very punchable face, and he looks like he's about 3 feet tall. So, I mean, they're like, also, I got to stand all the way over here because that guy's only 5'7", and you're right.
You're right. He's a lot taller than him.
Oh my God.
Republican incumbent Ted Cruz, Representative Beto O'Rourke. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us out.
And with that, gentlemen, let's begin. Congressman O'Rourke, you drew the first question, so we're going to start with you because you drew the first question. You said last week, Representative, that you want citizenship for dreamers today, and yet others who have applied to come to America continue to wait. Senator Cruz has said he doesn't support a path to citizenship for dreamers, which means they could be sent back to a country they've never known. Who's right, Representative?
First of all, let me say thank you to NBC5, to
Don't you hate
Dallas
that they do this every debate?
to SMU and the people of Dallas for having us here at this debate tonight. Let me thank Senator Ted Cruz for participating in this. I'm looking forward to the discussion. My wife, Amy, and I were in Booker, Texas. We've traveled to each one of the 254 counties, one of the reddest communities in the state, and we were surprised as we were going door to door to hear that the number one concern from people in that community was the fate of Dreamers. There are nearly 200,000 in the state of Texas, and the salutatorian from Booker High School had just been deported back to his country of origin. And everyone there was concerned about his welfare, but they're also concerned about the fact that he'd just been sent back to a country whose language he didn't speak, where he no longer had family connections, where if he was successful against those long odds, he'd be successful there for that place and not here for Texas. There is no better people than those of us here in this state, Republicans and Democrats, independents alike. The defining border experience, the defining immigrant experience in state, to rewrite our immigration laws in our own image, and to ensure that we begin by freeing Dreamers from the fear of deportation by making them U.S. citizens so they can contribute to their full potential, to the success not just of themselves and their families, but to this country. The economists who've studied it have said that we will lose hundreds of billions of dollars to the negative if we deport them. We will gain hundreds of billions to the positive if we keep them here. Senator Cruz has promised to deport each and every single Dreamer. That cannot be the way that Texas leads on this important issue.
Senator Cruz.
So, good answer.
Yeah, I was going to say, one of the reasons why I wanted to watch this debate with you was to evaluate it through moral foundations theory, which is Jonathan Haidt's thing. So do you have a hot take on that? I mean, as far as moral foundations go, he's activating the loyalty betrayal foundation. And
right.
that foundation is not going to speak to conservatives at all. It's actually going to work against him, because conservatives think, you should be loyal to Americans before you're loyal to foreigners. But he's completely taking and there's a video that I posted on Think Club where Jonathan Haidt goes into some of the numbers of libertarians, and he mentions liberals actually they care more about outsiders than they do their own family, which is weird, just totally weird. He mentions it like offhandedly, but this is the kind of when they fill out those surveys and stuff. I mean, this guy says something like that, and I think, well, yeah, that's what he's doing there, right? He cares more about the foreigners than he cares about his own fellow countrymen.
So, do you think he should have emphasized that brief point he made about how it's going to cost the country more, and then also the guy's going to be successful in his country instead of in America? Would that have been a better point to focus on?
Well, I'm not exactly sure. The economic stuff, nobody cares about that. It doesn't activate. It doesn't activate any moral foundation at all. It's like, who cares? Like, are you kidding me? Like, he could stand up there and say, Mexico is going to give us $10 billion if we screw over our citizens for these Dreamers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, that's a good deal. Like, we should abandon our moral values for money from Mexico.
But so isn't that
get fucked?
So the issue, okay, that's a good point. Is the issue is how do you reframe the issue so that they're not looking at it like, oh, you're screwing over American citizens?
Well, the Democrats have carved out this coalition that is really, I mean, they're immigrants in this halfway position, I guess. They're just they're hoping to clean up on voters, on immigrant voters. They have to know the numbers. I mean, he has to know the numbers. Like, he's making
right.
They all know the numbers now. If you read that book, The Victory Lab, all these guys know the numbers now. He's speaking specifically to a certain constituency.
Though, I don't know, because with the Dreamers, I feel like there's a whole another issue behind it, in that you had the government said, you can come out of hiding and we'll put you on a path to be a citizenship if you were born in this country.
Right. To illegal parents.
Right. And these kids said, okay, we're going to do that. So then they trusted the government, and then to have 4 years later, the government say, ha ha, fuck you, you just screwed yourself over.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's unfair. Yeah, that's fairness cheating.
Unfair. It's like, when people on the right say they don't want there to be gun registration because then the government will take your guns.
So
because that's basically what this was actually.
So the way to frame that then would be, we as the American people made a commitment to these people, and for us to dishonor, for us to turn our backs on that commitment now would be a dishonorable thing. And we have to like to frame it as it's the American people's honor on the line, and not the we're doing a solid, like, it's not the dreamers that we're worried about, it's our own honor.
Maybe that would, at least that would seem like it would work better. I agree.
Well, it would definitely speak to conservatives. If there's any conservatives in the chat, let us know your thoughts and feelings on that.
See, they should just get Jonathan Haidt to everyone should hire him for political campaigns.
I watched about half of Jonathan Haidt was on, what's his name now? I can't remember his name. Some spacing, but Jonathan Haidt did an interview today, and he was actually talking about one of the Republicans was one of the first people to give the interviewer his book, The Righteous Mind. Damn, I don't know why I'm not thinking of his name, but and I thought, wow, that's interesting that the Republicans are reading Jonathan Haidt's book, and Jonathan Haidt is such a lib, yet. I mean, Jonathan Haidt claims to be a centrist, but I still see him quite a bit as a liberal.
Right.
So,
someone in the chat corrected me. The Dreamers doesn't mean you were born in America. It means you were brought to America by your parents when you were underage.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Well, good evening and welcome. You know, this issue presents a stark divide between Congressman O'Rourke and me. My views on immigration are simple, and I've summed them up many times in just 4 words. Legal, good, illegal, bad. I think the vast majority of Texans agree with that. I think when it comes to immigration, we need to do everything.
Legal, good, illegal, bad.
Isn't that like...
I've summed them up in a way that even the Hulk can understand.
That's like the stereotype of like the politician answer right there.
Everything humanly possible to secure the border. That means building a wall. That means technology. That means infrastructure. That means boots on the ground. And we can do all of that at the same time.
We will make the Mexican people wear collars that whenever they cross the border.
So I'm looking at what you have to do to qualify to be a dreamer. And it says for the conditional status, you have to have graduated from high school or attained a GED, demonstrate good moral character. I don't know how the fuck to define that.
Oh my, the catch-all right there.
Yeah. And pass a criminal background check. And then for permanent residency, it says you have to have attended an institute of higher learning, so like college, or have served in the military for at least 2 years. So
yeah, if they serve in the military, like, we're having a completely different conversation.
Right. There was a case where someone served in the military and they were trying to deport him or something.
Yeah.
But see, to me, that's what really is so disgusting about the way that Lion Ted is kind of framing this, is because you have people who went into this agreement with the country, and the country says, okay, well, you have to follow these steps. And then people said, okay. And now they're saying, oh, we're just going to retroactively retract the steps that we agreed, for you to follow to become a citizen, which are good, which are all good steps, go to college and get a fucking education.
Yeah. Immigration doesn't bother me as much if they're assimilated.
Right. That's the key. I think that's the key point.
But what bothers me now more than ever is that the party that's in favor of immigration is also in favor of this cultural appropriation nonsense.
Yes.
They're not in favor of assimilation.
Right.
It's like, what the hell? It's like,
no, I agree
get your
completely.
house in order.
That's a big problem. And I think the Democrats need to really get their ass in gear and throw out the horrible multicultural idea, which says that you shouldn't assimilate.
Yeah.
And they really need to go back to like in the 90s when it was, we're pro-immigration, but, immigrants need to become American.
Yeah.
Because that's what the American dream is supposed to be. It's supposed to be you become American.
That Khan guy that stood up during the Democratic National Convention Hillary was an awful candidate, but the Democratic National Convention, actually, I thought, okay, they're getting their act together a bit. Remember, I can't remember his full name. It was Khan, the guy who was the immigrant who his son was killed in action, and he held up his copy of the Constitution. Like, that guy was fully assimilated. Like, that guy was an American, for heaven's sakes.
Right.
Those are what we want. We don't want these people who are going to bitch about cultural appropriation. Like, get the hell out of here. You want to bitch about cultural appropriation? Go back to your own country and bitch about it, okay?
All right. Well, we all know that this is all for both.
We will appropriate your culture, motherfucker.
It's not entirely, but for the voters, it's not. But for the politicians, they don't give a shit about the reasons for it. It's just Democratic politicians want more immigration because they vote Democrats, and Republicans want less immigration because they won't vote Republican.
Yeah. The Republicans are starting to figure it out, though. The Republicans are realizing, hey, guess what? All these immigrants are conservatives. Like, they're conservatives. They come from a tradition. A lot of times the nations they're coming from are traditional nations. Like, they're probably the most liberal people, the most open to new experience, because they're getting out of their nation and moving to a completely different nation, which is a completely liberal side of the equation thing to do, right?
Right.
But they're not like, let's go to gay pride parade liberals.
No.
They're like, they're from a traditional society. So, they see the pros and cons of both sides of that. Someone in the chat said it was Ben Shapiro. Yeah. Jonathan Haidt was interviewed by Ben Shapiro today. So I suggest everyone check that out.
Well, the problem is that even though there's a pragmatic reason, is what you're saying, for Republicans to embrace a lot of immigrants, a lot of Republican voters, they're not looking at it through their lens. They're just feeling through it the order emotion of, we just need to have borders and separation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I agree with them on that front. I honestly do.
Right. No, but I'm saying, yeah, obviously we need to have borders, but I mean, they're just saying things are crazy there now, therefore that means we need to lock down.
Right.
Isn't that's the Jonathan Haidt position?
Yeah. Karen Stenner is the person that's done a lot of research on this. Like, she says that the authoritarian personality is not really a 24/7 thing, that the only time the authoritarian personality is activated is in times of national upheaval. And she thinks as much as 30% of the population has this authoritarian personality, just that lays dormant, waiting for the Democrats to activate it with some trans bathroom bill. and then the next thing you know, Donald Trump is president. I'm serious. These people don't know what they're playing with here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that we'll have a Democratic president for the next 3 elections, to be honest with you.
No, I don't.
I don't think Trump's going anywhere. I think Trump is going to be an 8-year president.
Don't you think Bernie would have beat Trump in the election?
I think Bernie would have beat Trump. Yeah. But I totally think Bernie would have.
That's what I'm saying. It all depends on who is nominated. If it's another establishment type,
they don't have a Bernie. Are you kidding? They don't have a Bernie.
I don't know.
Who do they have?
But it was the same thing with Obama. No one saw him coming, and he just appeared out of the ether.
Yeah. The socialist chick, I think, might stand a chance, but she's not even 35 yet, so.
And also, she's a socialist, so I don't know how.
Bernie was a socialist.
Kind of.
I don't know that people care
like
about
an
this.
economic, 90s liberal. He wasn't on board with all the SJW stuff. She seems like she's more on board with SJW stuff.
Ted Cruz is going to be running in to replace.
Of course he is.
Yeah, of course he is. I love it when you say that.
Fucking lying Ted. Look at his weasel fucking face. Piece of shit.
That we are welcoming and celebrating legal immigrants. There is a right way to come to this country. You wait in line. You follow the rules. Like,
you ever been to Disneyland on New Year's Eve?
Yeah, that's the line.
No way. That's like 1/10 of the line.
That's true. Have you ever?
My father did it.
if you live in a city and you ever drive downtown, you'll just see a line that goes for blocks and blocks and blocks. I'm not kidding. Where I live, any day you can do this. It just goes on forever, and it's the immigration office line.
Really? Oh my goodness.
It's fucking crazy.
It's worse than the DMV.
Oh, and it's
But in
1,000 times worse. And also, his whole answer is bullshit, because this is a question about the Dreamers. He's acting like he's talking about like people that just like run across the border.
Well, the whole idea he is activating a moral foundation. He's cheated.
Right.
Fairness cheating. He's saying that they're cutting in line, is what he's saying.
Right.
Which is activating.
So we should, or we, the good liberals, should activate the fairness cheating morality in terms of that America promised, as you were saying, promised that you could do this, and then now they're reneging.
Right. This is one of the reasons why, and I've said this before, I'll say it again. I bet early on that Trump would be the president because I listened to Trump's campaign speeches and all he talked about was fairness. And fairness cheating is the one moral foundations that both liberals and conservatives are both on board with. They conceptualize it a bit differently because liberals conceptualize fairness as equality.
Mm-hmm.
And conservatives conceptualize fairness as proportionality, and so you have to take that into consideration. But a lot of statements can be seen. There's enough ambiguity there that both sides can see it as activating a moral foundation. So
right.
But I mean,
so
go ahead.
Any future politicians in the chat, remember that. Talk about fairness.
Every politician should read The Righteous Mind, really. It's like, but this is why I think Trump just did it instinctually. I think Trump is just a fairness guy. He's just a meat and potatoes guy. He thought this is what's going to appeal to people.
Well, he's good at knowing what people want to hear.
Yeah. Good at working a crowd. Lion Ted doesn't know shit.
Well, he's like very standard politician.
If he says cut in line, that's really good. That's a good, making something visual is
57. When he came from Cuba, he fled oppression and he came to Texas. He came seeking freedom. We are a state and we're a nation.
I totally forgot about that. He's such a fucking hypocrite. His dad came from Cuba. They didn't have to wait in line for anything. They just came. It's absurd.
Yeah. Hypocrite activates a moral foundation too.
Oh my God. Like for those that don't know, like during the, I don't know, I guess it was before Wet Foot, Dry Foot. Like in America, when the communists were taking over in Cuba, Cubans were just like blanketly allowed to come to the country. There was no line. It was just like, okay, you can just come in. And even now it's like, as long as you land in the US from Cuba, it's fine. Or at least it used to be like, and it might have changed recently. But like for most of my life growing up, if you were from Cuba and you just made it to the US, you were automatically accepted.
Yeah,
bearing you weren't a criminal or something.
I can't remember what book I was reading, but the idea that if you're born on American soil, you're an American was a really radical, unique idea. I think it was Suicide of the West, Jonah Goldberg. But that is even pretty much a radical idea. Like other nations, if you go to France and you're on vacation, you accidentally pop out your kid. Your kid is not a French citizen,
right? Or at least not at the time and when America was created.
Yeah,
people didn't think like that.
I can't remember though if he says that it happened if that was an amendment to the Constitution or if it was actually in the Constitution. I think it might have been an amendment after the fact.
I think it was an amendment. I don't think it was always there, because I'm not sure they considered blacks as Americans for a while.
Yeah, because of the whole slavery bullshit.
Right.
Yeah.
So it would have to have been later.
Kohath for $4.99. A civilization starts with a family, but Catholics and Jesuits and Jesuit assassins are not welcome. Sorry, I'd rather vote a conservative Hmong woman. Go esports. What did I just read?
Kohath,
what am I
write in the
endorsing
chat,
here?
like write what you meant, because I'm not sure I understand. and we'll figure it out when we get there.
No. So he's saying Catholic. We don't want Catholics or Jesuit assassins coming into America. Catholics
Okay.
I'm cool with, but Jesuit assassins, I'm going to say no, just because they're assassins.
Well, I mean, originally, back in the day, Catholics were frowned upon in America.
Really?
Yeah, it was all about the Protestants.
Oh yeah.
Because they were, the WASPs were the ones that created the nation in the first place.
Right.
Remember with Kennedy, people were saying, oh, if Kennedy gets elected, he's going to take marching orders from the Pope.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why they assassinated him, right?
That's exactly why. That's why they assassinated him.
Every time. I mean, I guess it wasn't that big a deal with Romney, but Romney being Mormon. I mean, America's always been apprehensive about crossing these various lines, but then we've always just crossed them. I mean, Obama being the first black president is the same thing. Like a lot of people.
Well, crossing them, yeah, but we didn't cross the Hillary line for being a lady.
Yeah, but she, first of all, citation.
I know that
Hillary
wasn't
a woman, but
right. I know that wasn't the issue.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I guess my point is it's kind of dangerous to look back and say, oh, we're crossing lines because like, well, maybe we're crossing them, but not for the reason of crossing the line.
Obama. Now I know I'm going to get a bunch of shit for this because people hate Obama. There are people that hate Obama, but Obama's very charismatic. Like Trump is very charismatic. Like I don't, I can separate the charisma from the policies. So I think the Hillary is not charismatic at all. Like Hillary is the opposite of charismatic. Like, so I think that played a huge role in it because there's this icon, like we're going to remember the first black president forever. Like we're going to remember the first female president forever. And when you remember that person forever, you don't want to remember Hillary Clinton. Please, let's just be honest here, right?
You're not wrong.
So that hurts a lot. Like they were all thinking, oh, we're historical back-to-back elections. We elected the first black president. Now we're going to elect the first woman president. Nope. We want the first woman president to be charismatic. We really do. So that's why I was saying that the socialist woman, she's charismatic. Like I admit she's a socialist. It's crazy, but she's charismatic. Yeah. She's definitely not smart.
Built by immigrants. But it's striking that Congressman O'Rourke, over and over and over again, his focus seems to be on fighting for illegal immigrants and forgetting the...
Hey, I'm going to
You nailed it. You nailed it.
Oh, what was the separation? What did I nail?
Well, Cruz is saying that O'Rourke is fighting for immigrants over Americans.
Oh, yeah, he knows. He knows what moral foundations. Hey, I got to run and get some water. I'll be right back.
Millions of Americans, Americans are dreamers also. And granting U.S. citizenship to 12 million people who are here illegally, I think is a serious mistake. I think Congressman O'Rourke is out of step with Texas on that.
Representative?
Now, I'm pretty sure. Now, I don't know. Maybe someone in the chat could look it up. Are there 12 million dreamers, or is he talking about all illegal immigrants everywhere? Because I'm looking at something over right now, and it's saying there's something like 1 million dreamers. So it sounds like he's conflating dreamers with just all illegal immigration.
I'll tell you about being out of step with Texas. Senator Cruz has sponsored legislation that would have this country build a 2,000-mile wall, 30 feet high at a cost of $30 billion. And that wall will not be built on the international border between the United States and Mexico, which is the center line of the Rio Grande. It'll be built on someone's farm, someone's ranch, someone's property, someone's homestead, using the power of eminent domain to take their property at a time of record security and safety on the border. Senator John Cornyn and I introduced legislation that would invest in our ports of entry where the vast majority of everyone and everything that comes into this country first crosses. Knowing who and what come in here makes us safer. It allows us to lead on the issues of immigration reform.
Representative.
So that'll be a question for Frendo when he gets back. Is that, I don't know, I feel like that's not a good argument that building the wall will will use too much eminent domain power and cost too many private citizens their property. I feel like the people that want the wall they don't care. They don't care about that. Like, they care about that in theory, but they're not going to care about the practical application of an individual losing their property for the wall.
And a quick follow-up for you. You've addressed the dreamers. Do you think anyone who is undocumented living here should have a path to citizenship?
There are millions of people in this country who are working the toughest jobs. And we were in Roscoe at a cotton gin with 24 jobs, every single one.
Okay, so you're back.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you were gone, O'Rourke said that his reasoning for why building the wall was bad is because the government is using eminent domain to kick people out of their property to build the wall. And I feel like that's not a great argument.
What is unfair?
It is unfair, but it doesn't, I don't know, I feel like people won't care.
Yeah, because it's not them. Who cares? Let them lose their property. What do I care about this? Sorry, they gotta step up, man. We need that wall. Sometimes you lose your property.
Super chat from Felix for 3 Aussies. Yo, my dudes, just dropping by. How's it hanging?
Everyone should go to Phalanx's channel and watch his video. He did a rationality rules how-to video that's pretty hilarious.
It's very funny.
So if any of you want to make a rationality rules video, there's even there's a twist ending, which is a masterwork.
And thank you, Caffeine Fiend. Looked up the answer to the question, which is that there are 800,000 total number of dreamers who are receiving DACA protections.
800,000? Wow.
Yeah, because when you were gone, Ted Cruz said 12 million. So I don't know
what.
I think he was lumping in all. He was doing what he was doing the whole question. He was lumping in all illegal immigration when he was talking about the dreamers.
Oh, okay.
One of them worked by someone who came to this country, not a person born in Roscoe or nearby Sweetwater willing to do that work. That's the story of Texas and of this country. We need to bring people out of the shadows, allow them to get right by law. And yes, there should be an earned path to citizenship. The alternative, as Senator Cruz has proposed, is to deport 11 million people from this country. Imagine the cost. Imagine the stain on our conscience going forward for the generations who look back at this moment.
Representative, that's your time. Thank you.
See, there's got to be, he's got to be planning on getting all those votes. Otherwise, like, he would just say, yeah, deport them all. Like, they would just both say, next question.
Well,
right?
I mean, there are people that believe that it is a waste of money because there's some astronomical cost estimated if they were to deport 12 million people or something.
Yeah, well, saying one thing and doing another, that's what politics is all about. Are you kidding me?
So you're saying he should just lie?
Well, he would answer. Yeah. That's what these politicians do, Sitch.
Right.
But he must be taking money from the business interests that want to keep the cheap labor here, correct? There's that
probably,
aspect of it too.
Yeah,
they want these people to work. But once they're legal, they're not. They all of a sudden they have more bargaining ability with wages and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This guy just looks sneaky to me.
O'Rourke gives very bad answers, I think. He gives very standard politician flat answers that are not very emotionally inspiring.
Yeah, that's the problem on the left. All the emotion on the left is in the crazy department.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Cruz, this question is to you. This month in Dallas, Officer Amber Geiger shot Botham Jean, a black man, in his own apartment. Why did you caution Representative O'Rourke and others not to jump to conclusions in this case when the Texas Rangers and the Dallas County District Attorney said she committed manslaughter?
Okay, for those of you that don't know, what he's talking about is this is the case where an officer accidentally walked into the wrong apartment and she thought it was her apartment and it wasn't. And there's a guy in there and she just shot and killed him.
How do you accidentally walk? How drunk are you when you actually accidentally walk into your... like the wrong apartment. I'm you know.
I don't know if they did a toxicology on her.
I'm
It
just
was one of
saying,
the-
like,
Yeah, I agree.
what? What?
See, it's also a good reason why you should lock your fucking doors. It drives
Walked
me
into
crazy
the
when I go
wrong
to people's
apartment?
houses.
Was it a
lock their door.
hotel? I mean, were they the wrong hotel room? I mean, I don't understand. Oh, I think I live here, but wait a second. It must have been a new
that's what
apartment
happened.
or something. Oh, this sounds ridiculous.
And so Ted Cruz was chiding O'Rourke because he went to a black church and was talking about how terrible this was. So that's the context of this question.
What happened to Mr. John was horrific. Nobody should be in their own home and be shot and killed in their own home. It was tragic. Now, the officer, as I understand it, has contended that it was a tragic mistake. It was a case where she thought she was in her own apartment. She thought he was an intruder. Right now, today,
Oh my God.
I don't
This
know
is
what happened
crazy.
that evening. Congressman O'Rourke doesn't know what happened that evening.
What does he mean he doesn't know what happened? Everyone knows what happened. There's no one's contesting what happened.
Well,
But he
then,
immediately
maybe-
called for firing the officer.
Do we know what? I mean, seriously. We don't know. Like, how do you? I just don't. It's unfathomable to me. Like, how long was she? I have all these questions. How long was she living there?
Right.
Like, does she normally get into like other people's cars? Like,
Well,
is she
think it was-
is she
is it-
mentally retarded? Was she drunk?
I don't know if she was drunk, but I heard that it was an apartment complex where like all the floors looked the same basically.
Okay.
Except for the numbers. So it's like one of those she got off on the wrong floor things.
Officer. I think that's a mistake. Look, we have a criminal justice system.
Poor guy.
A criminal justice
Jeez.
system that will determine
I
what
know.
happened that night. If she violated the law, if she did that intentionally, she'll face the consequences. But without knowing the facts before a trial,
Why would you
before
do
a jury's
something like
heard the
that
evidence,
intentionally?
Congressman O'Rourke is ready to convict her, ready to fire her. And I'll tell you, it's a troubling pattern.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Because Cruz was saying that she shouldn't be fired until there's like a full investigation.
Oh my God. What also, like, when you walk into your apartment, don't you kind of realize, oh shit, this isn't my furniture? Like, come on, this is ridiculous.
Well, the story is that she walked in and there were no lights on, and she just immediately saw this guy and shot him. You know, she didn't even turn the lights on or anything.
Huh.
They're definitely this is my problem with like the Black Lives Matter stuff, is that it's not. I don't think it's a race issue, but I do think there's a huge issue with police training. It needs to be completely revamped. Because right now it's very much you just shoot someone immediately, you know, and kill them. Like it's like, remember the video of the guy, the white guy who was crawling on the floor and the cops shot him?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I mean, like, so much crazy shit that's going on with police protocol right now. That's not being addressed because it's getting sucked into this dumb race identity issue. And that just, all that does is fracture people to take a side.
Yeah, it's not good.
Pattern. Over and over again, Congressman O'Rourke, when faced with an issue about police and law enforcement, he sides against the police. So in the United States Congress, he voted against allowing funds to go to body armor for sheriffs. When it comes to immigration and customs enforcement, he has said he's open to abolishing that
So
law.
this is a good pivot away from the issue he can't really defend.
Yeah.
Though it is interesting that Ted Cruz is defending the police, or not the police, but her in the first place, because he feels like his voters will want to defend the police instinctually.
Yeah, that's conservative. The conservatives
Yeah.
are the party of law and order for a reason.
Right.
They
Though
care about order.
So here's the race baiting
They
question.
clean their rooms, bucko.
Here's the race baiting question. If she had went to the wrong apartment and shot a white guy, would he still defend the lady?
Well, she wouldn't have shot the white guy. She would have said, "Oh, I'm in the wrong apartment. Let me go back. Let me go to my apartment."
Are you saying that she only keeps black men in her apartment?
I don't. First of all, I feel bad weighing in on this because we know nothing about this. I'm gonna look it up, but this is This is garbage. I like how. Oh, what a tragedy! What a tragedy! Lock your
That's
doors,
pretty
people.
horrifying. Yeah,
A
lock
cop
your
could
doors.
walk in on you and murder you.
Enforcement agency. And just this week, Congressman O'Rourke described law enforcement, described police officers as modern-day Jim Crow.
What? Oh,
Let me say something.
bad news.
Yeah, I couldn't tell if he was saying O'Rourke said that, which if he did, that's bad. You shouldn't say that.
Yeah,
It
don't
sounded
say
like
that.
it sounded like he was someone else said that, and he's trying to attribute that. Just go back a second.
Described law enforcement, described police officers as modern-day, allowing funds to go to body armor for sheriffs. When it comes to immigration and customs enforcement, he has said he's open to abolishing that law enforcement agency. And just this week, Congressman O'Rourke described law enforcement, described police officers as modern-day Jim Crow.
Okay, that's pretty bad if he said that.
Let me say something. I have gotten to know police officers all across this state. That is offensive. Just today, Fort Worth is burying officers.
I don't understand how people can say stuff like that, because the law enforcement is a total blue collar job, man. There's
Right.
so many. I mean, it's blacks, Latinos. Like, you look at law enforcement departments, and they're diverse as can be. So it absolutely makes no sense to me when they talk about the police being racist.
Right. Well, it's like you said with Feinstein. You're hearing one side's opinion of something.
Yeah.
You don't know what he actually. Well, actually, I do know
He's
what he
going to
actually
respond, though. Hopefully,
Yeah.
he's going to kick Cruz in the teeth over that one.
I don't think
Even
he
though
does.
I don't
though.
like either of these guys. So I mean,
Right.
hey, sorry if anyone in
Right.
the chat's from Texas, but you got a tough decision to make here. you got the Hillary Clinton and the
Sir Garrett Hall, with his wife Sabrina and 2 kids, who was shot in the head,
He's
risking
pissed.
his
Look at
life.
him.
Here today,
He's defending the police.
Officer Brian Graham, an Arlington SWAT officer, who was shot in the head.
Senator, I'm gonna have to stop.
He is here, and everyday police officers risk their lives for us. Officer Graham is standing there, his 2 kids. He took a bullet in the head, protecting us. And let me say right now, I think it is offensive to call police officers modern-day Jim Crow. That is not Texas.
So, a good tactical response from Lying Ted, definitely playing up to the emotions, and it was able to turn a situation which should have been really bad for him into a bad against his opponent situation.
Oh yeah, I forgot about how he was being a jackass.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, get this guy. Can't believe he attacked law enforcement. Typical liberal.
He attacked law enforcement for a police that wandered into the wrong house and just shot someone who was minding their own
Hey,
business.
we're detectives, okay? I don't know if you saw Social Justice Detective, but I hit people and ask questions later. I can feel a Houston punch in the nose.
Please, audience, please. No applause.
What Senator Cruz said is simply untrue. I did not call police officers modern-day Jim Crow. And I,
don't
as
say it
well
again.
as Senator Cruz and everyone here, mourn the passing
That's a bad
of
move.
officer.
That's a
To
bad
repeat
move.
it?
Yeah,
And also-
to repeat it to say it afterwards, because you just did. Oh, what do you mean?
Right.
We heard you call police officers. Like,
Right.
you should have said, I never said anything like that.
Right. And also, why wouldn't he use Lying Ted?
Yeah, totally.
That's like
We all
that was
know
the perfect opportunity.
Lying Ted's reputation. I
Right.
never said anything close to that, Lying Ted. Yeah, totally. He should have spun around. But he hates Trump, so they would be like, he likes Trump. Ah!
Yeah, but you still got to use the effective weapons of, when they're given to you by your opponents,
No
right?
way. They would. First of all, the liberals score so low on loyalty. It's just, it doesn't even register on the surveys.
Mhm.
So they'd just be like, just that he said Lying Ted, they'd be like, okay, he's out of here. He used Trump.
So-
He used Trump speak.
I don't think the liberals would care. I think they'd be happy because it's like just dessert. Yeah.
Oh, maybe so. Maybe so.
And I'm looking at the quote. I don't want to read it because it's kind of long, where he said the Jim Crow thing, and he wasn't talking about specifically police. He's talking about a system. He's talking about like when like racial profiling systems.
Are you saying Ted is lying?
I'm saying Ted is lying. He's lying in a way that's like there's like enough leeway that you're like, oh, I guess you could say he was saying the police were Jim Crow because they're part of this system. But obviously it's a gross oversimplification of what he was talking about.
L.A. Jacksander for 50 sec says, I'm a conservative solely because it gives me the moral justification for hating poor people.
You say that as a joke.
We all hate poor people. I mean, they're poor. It's such a bummer. Like, I feel bad for them, but that's part of the hating process. No, I hope you're joking. I know conservatives don't hate the poor. I think
some do.
Well, no, I think technically the conservatives give more to the poor, according to Robert Putnam. But that's a strange way of hating them.
Right. That might be but that might be kind of the religious values superseding the political values.
Yeah, definitely.
So I guess the real problem is those horrible secular Republicans.
Let's get
Kohath for $3 said, when they say peace and security, danger.
Oh, I missed that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was when you're gone. And also he's leaving. Bye. Thanks for giving us money.
It's peace and security, huh?
Officer Hall in Fort Worth. My uncle Raymond was a sheriff's deputy in El Paso. In fact, he was the captain of the El Paso County Jail. He's the one who taught me to shoot, and the responsibility and accountability that
bring
comes
emotion
with
forward when he talks.
He's the one that taught me to shoot first and ask questions later.
No, but like he needs to get as angry as Ted Cruz was and saying, "How dare you say I'm in favor of my uncle is a police officer who taught me how to shoot." Like that's like the great response. He just delivers it shitty.
Yeah, he's got low
energy,
low testosterone low serotonin lobster written all over him. I'm telling you, he's
owning a gun, but
he
he also
taller than Ted Cruz. He should walk over there and smack him with a white glove. How dare you say that?
Officers' blue blood runs through my family.
Yeah, exactly.
Taught me what it means to serve everyone, to be sworn to protect and serve everyone in a community, not just some people. With the tragic shooting death.
His tie is also terrible.
Yeah, why do they make him wear those huge microphones on it too? Oh, I know, that tie is awful. Why are you wearing a pink tie, buddy?
Is it pink or red? I can't tell.
Yeah.
It looks too much like a picnic tablecloth.
If I was in one of these debates, I would show up just, black and white. I would look like Agent Smith. I'd be ready for business.
Nah, you can't do that. You can't do that.
Why?
Because you look like Agent Smith from the Matrix.
Look at your avatar, buddy. Come on.
I'm not in a fucking political debate. I'm the goofy cartoon character.
That's true.
Of both
it would be better than that time.
You have another unarmed black man killed in this country by law enforcement. Now, no member of law enforcement wants...
He brought race into it.
Yeah. Why?
Why? Because doesn't it just alienate people? Why don't you just say an unarmed man, another unarmed man?
Yeah, this is the difference between common enemy identity politics and common humanity and identity politics. Like he could spin it in that direction, but they want to milk this. They want the country, they want people to never even dream of voting for a Republican.
Or at least black people.
Yeah.
Are you saying that Candace Owens was right the whole time?
Not consciously. Phalanx for $2 Australian dollars. What's the exchange rate? Going now, I'll leave you under CT's care. Behave. We'll do our best, but this is getting good. I like the debate that we're imagining in our minds
Yes.
much better.
Much more interesting.
This is how memory actually works, because when we remember this debate, we're going to remember this debate where remember when Ted Cruz walked over and slapped him in the face with the glove? That was the best part. In 30 years, we're going to be in a congressional hearing talking about how this guy slapped Ted Cruz with
the white glove.
With the white glove, exactly.
On national television.
On national television. We remember it. Our memories of it are very vivid.
To happen. No member of this community wants that to happen, but we've got to do something better than what we've been doing so far. If African Americans represent 13% of the population in this country, that they represent 1/3 of those who are shot by law enforcement, we have something wrong. If we have the largest prison population on the face of the planet, and it is disproportionately comprised of people of color, we have something wrong in this country. Republicans and Democrats should be able to work together with law enforcement and members of the community for real, lasting, meaningful criminal justice reform.
How much do you think is that white guilt vote that he's capitalizing on? That it's really,
I mean, that's what he's aiming for.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, he could say everything he was saying, but remove race from it.
Yeah. I mean, the liberals want everyone to believe that every single conservative is a racist. That's their game plan. Which
so that's what I'm wondering. Would he lose? But I feel like he's not going to lose support if he removes race from that. I feel like he'd only gain it. Because liberals are going to vote for him against Cruz anyway.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally. They hate Cruz.
Unless he thinks that he needs to have a substantial amount of black people show up, and that they're not going to show up if he removes race from it.
Maybe.
That must be what their strategy is.
Yeah. I'll let you read that super chat since what is that? Silly Dare. For $3 has a silly dare. Wear Jordan's lobster tie. Well, it'd be better than that tie.
That would have been the real alpha move for him to wear a lobster tie.
Yeah. It should say top lobster in real big type too.
It's actually just shaped like just a giant plastic lobster you wear under your neck. And like the claws are the part that go under your collar.
Lobster dinner. I'm drinking your milkshake.
Yeah, I'm eating Cruz's lunch.
A quick follow-up to you, Senator Cruz. Do you agree that police violence against unarmed...
See, I like the purple tie, but that color shirt that blue, that's terrible.
Yeah. This guy's awful. They're like, we got a bunch of race questions. We need to get like a black announcer just so people don't get totally triggered.
African Americans is a problem, and if so, how would you fix it?
I believe.
What was the question?
He said, "Do you think that police violence with African Americans is a problem?" I believe that's what he said.
A quick follow-up to you, Senator Cruz. Do you agree that police violence against unarmed African Americans is a problem?
Correct.
And if so, how would you fix it?
I believe everyone.
I would arm the black people. I'll make sure that they all have guns. Well, I mean, that's the fair thing to do, right? I don't think he's going to say that. But.
One's rights should be protected regardless of your race, regardless of your ethnicity. But I'll tell you something. I've been to too many police funerals. I was here in Dallas when 5 police officers were gunned down because of irresponsible and hateful rhetoric.
What the fuck?
Oh, wait a second.
I was at the funeral in Houston.
It wasn't bullets that gunned them down. It was irresponsible hatred.
It was hateful rhetoric. Yeah. Like, that's like the cops that die are killed because like a criminal kills them. Yeah. It's not because some like SJW was like, oh, fuck the police.
Yeah, exactly.
And it
Second Baptist
doesn't
Church
that show? To me, that's a really bad showing of where Ted Cruz believes his base is. Because he starts off normally like, yeah, you should be protected by the law regardless of your skin color. Okay, that's a good start. But then to immediately pivot into this, I can't even acknowledge that there's a problem.
Yeah.
Because my base will get mad at me.
I don't know that, I don't know how bad the problem is. I mean, I don't know why they don't. Nobody wants to know.
That's part of the problem.
And also, it doesn't really seem like it seems like nobody really wants to know how bad the problem is. Like, because they're all, we're all getting votes off this. Like if we had some social scientists dive in and bring back, oh, this really isn't even a problem, then what would they talk about? They're like, oh no, now we have to talk about abortion. Fuck that. Like,
no, you're absolutely right. And I remember when I looked, because I was going to do like after the Las Vegas shooting, I was going to do a gun video, which I didn't end up finishing.
Yeah.
And it was exactly what you're saying. There's no like official catalog of like how many people are shot by the police and whether they're armed or not, and whether they were found to be innocent or not.
Yeah. So this whole debate is based off of how do you feel about this anecdotal story that came along?
Right. This perception.
Yeah.
Though I don't know. It does seem, I guess that's the anecdotal evidence. That's the problem, is that we only see when the police shoot someone and it's like really bad.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't know. That could be like 1% of all the cases.
Yeah.
Deputy Goforth had been shot in the back of the head at a service station because of irresponsible and hateful rhetoric. Just now, Congressman O'Rourke repeated things he knows aren't true. He stated, for example, white police
hateful
officers
rhetoric
shooting
shot someone in the back of
unarmed
the head.
African-American children. The Washington Post fact-checked that claim and conclude Congressman O'Rourke was wrong. But I'll tell you something, that rhetoric does damage. That rhetoric divides us on race. It inflames hatred. We should be bringing people together instead of suggesting the police are risking their lives to protect all of us, to protect African Americans, to protect Hispanics.
So he just said we should bring everyone together. And I'm going to do that by only supporting the police blindly.
Yeah.
Regardless of anything.
Well, at least we have Lord on our side.
Right. And also, it's a very SJW talking point. He's all, this hateful rhetoric is harmful.
Yeah.
And turning people against the police, I think, is profoundly irresponsible.
This is why people don't like Washington, D.C. You just said something that I did not say. And
what did you not say?
Attributed it to me.
What did you not say?
I'm not going to repeat. I'm not going to repeat the slander.
You realized you messed up. Holy shit.
Yeah. See, again,
another.
You're not going to say.
Perfect opportunity for him to call him lying Ted.
I know.
And say, you're just another establishment politician.
You're just another lying politician.
Yep.
What you did say?
No, this is your trick in the trade. to confuse and to incite based on fear and not to speak the truth. This is a very serious issue and it warrants the truth and the facts.
All right, Representative O'Rourke, this question is for you. It's about the national.
So do you think that was a good rebuttal or not?
Yeah, everyone's thinking lying Ted now. He didn't even have to say it. They're like, your nickname precedes you, lying Ted.
Yes. Polls show that most Americans don't think that NFL players should be kneeling during the national anthem.
Why
even
are they
if
talking?
they believe that they have the right to do so. But you have said there's nothing more American than protesting for your rights. What do you say to people who claim that you're out of step with most Texans on this issue?
I mentioned just a minute ago, members of law enforcement are not sworn to serve and to protect only some people. They're sworn to protect and serve everyone in a given community. Those service members who put their lives on the line, who are serving tonight in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Syria, they swear not to a man or to a group of people in this country, but they swore to support and to defend the Constitution of the United States of America, the Constitution for all of us. The civil rights marchers who took their lives into their hands crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama, some beaten to within an inch of their lives, those who lost their lives in the Deep South to the racism of America at the time. Those freedom riders who had the audacity to take Greyhound buses in the Deep South, using the bathrooms or the water fountains of their choice, knowing full well that it would end up in the Mississippi State Penitentiary, Parchman, as it did for John Lewis. They marched not just for themselves, but for everyone. And when now we have injustice in this country, two sets of criminal justice systems, depending on your race, your ethnicity, and your color. That prison population that I talked about that is disproportionately comprised of people of color. Too many unarmed African-American men losing their lives in this country. To peacefully protest that injustice, nonviolently, and to call attention to that, to prick the conscience of this country so that those in positions of public trust and power will finally do something. Standing up not just for your rights, but everyone's rights in this country. There's nothing more American than that.
That's your time, Congressman.
That seemed like a terrible answer to me, anyway.
Yeah. People in the
I
chat
mean,
are saying,
he
what
went
does this
right
have
back
do?
to the race.
Yeah, I know. Just divisive politics.
I wonder. It seems like they're not even trying to poach voters away from Ted Cruz. He's just trying to increase the base on his side.
Yeah. This is the problem with a 50-50. Everything being a 50-50 down the line. Like nobody wants to try anything. Although normally the incumbent has such a massive advantage. I haven't seen any of the polls here, so I don't know. If this guy is a massive underdog, he should be swinging for the fences, not playing it safe. And
Not playing it
seems like
safe,
he's playing it safe.
Didn't they learn from Trump?
Oh, exactly. Yeah.
That you gotta be out there.
I'd be using Lion Ted in every time it was my turn to talk. Well, Lion Ted.
I'm going to have to ask again for the audience to please
Shut the
refrain
fuck up.
from reacting and applause. Okay?
Why?
We need to get through a lot
I
of
don't
questions
understand why they...
For time,
Senator
probably.
Cruz.
You know, Congressman O'Rourke gave a long soliloquy on the civil rights movement. And I'll tell you, one of the reasons that I'm a Republican is because civil rights legislation was passed with the overwhelming support of Republicans. And indeed, the Dixiecrats who were imposing Jim Crow, the Dixiecrats who were beating those protesters were Democrats.
Oh, my God.
And that's one of the reasons I'm proud to be a member of the Party of Lincoln, a member that stands for equal rights for everyone, regardless of what race, what ethnicity.
I was about to pause it and say as a joke, I'm Republican because of Lincoln.
Yeah, no. They do this.
He went there.
They do this all the time.
It's so obnoxious.
I mean, technically he's right, but...
Right. But it's like,
they don't
yeah,
mention
that was
all
after.
the conservatives became Republicans. They all left the Democratic Party because
they're racist. I mean, because,
yeah, all the racists left.
Right.
Every human being is a creation of God that our Constitution protects. But nowhere in his answer did he address the fact that when you have people during the national anthem taking a knee, refusing to stand for the national anthem, that you're disrespecting the millions of veterans, the millions of soldiers and sailors and airmen and Marines that risk and fight and die to protect that flag and to protect our liberty. And to be clear, everyone has a right to protest. You have a right to speak. But you could speak in a way that doesn't disrespect the flag, that doesn't disrespect the national anthem. And I'll tell you, those civil rights protesters...
What an SJW. Oh, my God.
Totally. Loyalty betrayal is the foundation that he's activating. Liberals are score very low on the loyalty betrayal. This is why liberals typically eat their own more than conservatives do.
That makes sense, yeah.
Would be astonished if the protests were manifesting and burning the flag. Dr. King, that's not something Dr. King stood for. He stood for justice without disrespecting the men and women who fight for this country.
You heard Senator Cruz's answer. First of all, he again tried to mislead you by taking a peaceful protest during the national anthem to burning a flag. No one here, myself included, has suggested that anyone should be doing that. He also grounded his answer in partisanship, talking about the GOP being better than the Democrats. Listen, I could care less about either party at this moment. At this deeply divided, highly polarized time in our history, this moment calls for all of us, regardless of party or any other difference of race or sexual orientation, how many generations you've been here, or whether you just got here yesterday, we need to come together for this country that we love so much.
And we're moving on here. The next question for Senator Cruz. Details are still being worked out, but Dr. Christine Blasey Ford may testify about her allegations of attempted sexual assault against Judge Brett Kavanaugh. Is there anything you could hear from her that could make you change your vote?
Well, absolutely. And listen, I very much hope Dr. Ford comes next week and testifies.
I have photographic evidence.
I publicly called for her to be given an opportunity to testify. I urged my colleagues. The allegations she's raised are serious, and they deserve to be treated with respect. And I hope that she comes and has a full opportunity to tell her story in a way that is respectful, but I also think Judge Kavanaugh deserves a full opportunity to defend himself and to let the American people listen and come to an assessment of what happened. We don't know right now, but we need to give them a full hearing. I will say, though, more broadly than this issue, whether it is Judge Kavanaugh, whether it is Neil Gorsuch, whether it is other Supreme Court nominees, reflects one of the many massive divides on policy and substance and record between me and Congressman O'Rourke. Congressman O'Rourke doesn't want Judge Kavanaugh confirmed. He said that before these allegations. He said that after these allegations. He didn't want Neil Gorsuch confirmed. Congressman O'Rourke agrees with Hillary Clinton. He wants liberal judicial activists on the court.
Low blow.
Isn't that that drives me crazy? Is the liberals were these judicial activists? It's like it's such bullshit. Every Republican and Democrat is a judicial activist for their own bullshit issues.
Yeah, I was talking about him throwing out that he agrees with Hillary Clinton. That's like
that was funny too.
Devastating below the belt punch.
Definitely.
Particular policy view. I have devoted virtually my entire life to defending the Constitution and Bill of Rights. I think one of the major issues
except for the time where you tried to destroy the faith and credit.
Yeah, exactly. The full faith and credit of the United States government. Yeah, when you remember when you shut down the government all by yourself?
American people had before us in 2016 was, what vision of the court do you want? And I believe Texans want constitutionalists on the Supreme Court who will defend the First Amendment, who will defend free speech, who will defend religious liberty. Religious liberty, one of the fundamental liberties that's been under assault. Who will defend the Second Amendment. And I would note, the justices that Congressman O'Rourke would insist upon, like Hillary Clinton, are justices that would undermine and effectively write the Second Amendment out of the Constitution. Those are radical views, and they're not views consistent with the overwhelming majority of Texans.
Thank you, Senator. That's your time. Representative?
The senator.
So that's their version of he's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. He's going to write out the Second Amendment.
Right.
Has a troubling history of the kinds of nominees that he's supported. Someone like Jeff Mateer to the federal bench, someone who believes in conversion therapy, who's described transgender children as part of Satan's plan. People like Andrew Oldham, who could not say whether the landmark school integration 1954 Brown versus the Board of Education was correctly decided. People.
To be fair, we do not know for sure if trans children are not part of Satan's plan. Okay, we don't have hard and fast evidence on that.
I think you're going to say we don't know what Ted Cruz's opinion on any of this is.
Right? No. If Satan does have a plan, though, I think trans children is definitely part of it. I mean, that's just a way to screw over children, and Satan loves to do shit like that.
Mm-hmm. Like Brent Talley, who has never tried a case before, Dr. Ford's allegations should be investigated by the FBI, full stop. There's precedent for that. That's the right thing to do given the gravity of the accusations. But the senator is right in this regard. Judge Kavanaugh does not meet the bar for Texas to serve on the Supreme Court in a state that is now 50th in voter turnout.
What?
Judge Kavanaugh has a troubling history on voter rights protections. In a state that is the epicenter for the maternal mortality crisis, 3 times as deadly for African American women, Judge Kavanaugh has a troubling history in agreeing.
So that explains his entire strategy with the immigration and the race stuff. If Texas is the lowest voter turnout.
Yeah, massively low.
Because I'm assuming it's all the Black and Hispanic people that aren't showing up to vote.
He's trying to get them to the polls.
Yeah.
That's where conservatives just have a massive advantage, because the conservatives vote out of a sense of loyalty. They do.
You're right. Good point. I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's easier for them to get their voters to the polls.
That Roe versus Wade is the decided law of the land. And in a state where you can be fired for being gay, his support for civil rights is in question. We need a Supreme Court.
If that's true, that's pretty crazy.
What is that?
He said in Texas you can be fired for being gay. I mean, I don't know if that's true, but
well, they probably just have you can be fired for anything law. So
right,
you can also be fired for facial hair. Like, okay,
right. No, but every state has a you can be fired for anything, but then it's always, but then you can't be fired because you're black or gay or whatever. Yeah.
They got to make up something.
Right.
who will decide in favor of people and for their rights that have been established by precedents and under the Constitution. And in Brett Kavanaugh, we do not have that justice.
Representative, that's your time. Senator Cruz.
You know, it was striking. He didn't dispute that he supports liberal activists who would impose the policy he wants. It's not a judge's job to impose policy. And he also didn't dispute that he wants justices that would undermine the Second Amendment.
Remember when 5 conservative judges picked the president?
Yeah. That was the king of judicial activism.
Yeah. And that decision, if you've ever read it, it's hilarious because it's not even a...
Oh, it's not binding or anything.
It's not even binding. Yeah, it was a one-time thing.
Just in case the Democrats find themselves in the same situation, they can't go, oh, look, precedent.
Let me talk for a moment about the case Heller versus District of Columbia. It's a landmark case that upheld the individual right to keep and bear arms under the Second Amendment. I represented Texas and 30 other states winning a landmark 5-4 victory, upholding your right to keep and bear arms. Congressman O'Rourke, like Hillary Clinton, wants justices who would overturn that. And let me tell you the position of the dissenters. The dissenters in Heller said that no individual, no American whatsoever has any right to keep and bear arms whatsoever. That's a radical position. It's an extreme position. And that's what Congressman O'Rourke wants to see the Supreme Court doing, writing the Second Amendment out of the Bill of Rights.
That's not true.
And we are moving on here.
Hold on.
Of course,
He disputed that. You can have a
of
rebuttal.
course I support the Second Amendment.
In
What?
way,
Oh,
in
no,
what
all the libs are
respect,
like,
and name
"Hey,
one judge you've ever supported who would actually
You may not
Heller.
understand how the House and the Senate work, but it's your job in the Senate to decide if you're going to support or not support a given
Did
nominee.
you endorse Hillary Clinton?
Not in the House.
Did you endorse Hillary Clinton?
That has nothing to do
Well,
with
it
my
does,
support
because
of the
Hillary
Second
promised
Amendment.
every
Absolutely
justice
not.
she would appoint would
Absolutely
vote
not.
to overturn
I
Heller.
fully support the
past
Second
your
Amendment.
time, gentlemen. Let's move on here. This question goes to Representative O'Rourke. Representative.
So here's an interesting thing, because they keep bringing up Heller. Guess who wrote the dissenting opinion?
Oh, no. Scalia.
No, Stevens, the guy they just replaced.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is the case, the Heller case?
It was the handgun ban, but I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we
I don't know
talked about
what
it earlier.
specific piece of law they were arguing over, though.
Is there still a handgun ban in D.C.?
No, there isn't because of this.
Right.
But
okay.
it's not
They overturned it. The handgun
Right.
ban they tried to pass because they're like, everyone hates us and we don't want people to have handguns coming into our Senate chambers, right? They
Right.
want gun control. They're like, are you kidding? We're gonna get killed. Everyone hates us.
Representative, you believe in universal background checks and an assault weapons ban in a very gun-friendly state. A poll from Quinnipiac University shows that about half of Texans do support stronger gun laws, while 45% do oppose them. Is Texas ready for a senator who wants to roll back gun rights?
I think Texas is ready for a senator who will defend the Second Amendment, but also ensure that we can protect the lives within our lives. Both Senator Cruz and I were able to visit with students who survived the shooting at Santa Fe High School, to meet with some of those parents there. And students like Bree, who argued that we should have...
I said Stevens was the one that got replaced. That's not true. Kennedy was the one that got replaced.
Yeah, Kennedy.
I keep mixing them up for some reason. I don't know why.
have universal background checks because it makes our communities and our states demonstrably safer. We know that.
Stevens is a big nobody, man. Kennedy is a swing vote in every important.
Right. I don't know why I keep thinking Stevens is the swing vote.
No, he's not. Kennedy was the one nominated by Reagan that was supposed to be conservative, and the conservatives have been pissed off that he's never been conservative enough. Like, he's voted with the liberals so many times. They're like, what the hell?
Right.
So, yeah, the liberals are super worried about replacing Kennedy, but I guess Kennedy was replaced. No, Kennedy's being replaced now, correct?
Yes, by Kavanaugh.
Yeah, that's scary. Yeah, Roe versus Wade, I don't know, maybe gone. Who knows? It's impossible to tell. People are losing their shit. We'll see what happens.
Well, I think it's going to be what you said, I think last stream, where they're not going to just blankly overturn it. What they're going to do is every time a case comes against some state restriction on abortion, they're just going to allow it.
Yeah. It's going to be kicked back to the states.
Yeah, and they're going to allow the individual states to just chip away at it as much as they want.
Yep.
Those states that have adopted them that have seen a near 50% reduction in serious gun violence, fewer gun crimes committed against law enforcement, fewer boyfriends killed by their girlfriends, girlfriends killed by their boyfriends, and it is supported by most people in Texas, gun owners, non-gun owners alike, Republicans and Democrats. And listening to those who've served this country, put their life on the line, like the Vietnam veteran that I met in Wichita Falls, who said shortly after the Parkland shooting massacre there in that school that young man was better armed in that school against defenseless children than he was in the jungles of Vietnam. When I listen to the emergency room doctors who tell me that a handgun wound, if it is treated in time, if it doesn't hit a major artery or your heart, will be able to save your life. But a weapon designed for the express purpose of killing people as effectively, as efficiently, and as great a number as possible, the high-impact, high-velocity round from an AR-15 will blow a hole the size of an orange out your back. You will bleed to death before anyone can get to you, and that's exactly what it was designed to do. Weapons of war belong on the battlefields, not in our schools or our churches.
So how do you feel about that, about allowing people to have rifles that shoot bullets faster and stronger and that aren't single shot?
I don't know. I honestly don't know because I don't know the numbers. These school shootings are awful, but
they're very rare.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Sometimes it seems like it's just I don't know. The sales go through the roof on these when these school shootings happen for these high-powered weapons too. And I feel like
because they think they're going to get banned.
Yeah, and I feel like we're in just a copycat cycle here.
Mm-hmm.
That people are imitating other people who are getting a lot of recognition out of it. I think focusing on the guns is probably the least likely way to stop these, because there's a bunch of them out there already too. So
right.
I mean, it feels a lot like just talking points to me.
Well, see, his position, which I don't know if it's a good position, was just if you get shot with a handgun, you're better off than being shot by a rifle.
Oh yeah, no,
yeah.
Assault weapons ban would definitely save lives. Yes, I agree 100% that it would.
But is it worth it, is what you're saying?
I don't know. The taking away people's liberty is just, yeah. I mean, yeah, I don't own one, so hell, yeah. Take them away.
Our concerts or our public life.
Senator.
You know, all of us have been horrified as we've seen these school shootings. Santa Fe High School is about a half hour from my house. I was home that morning at 7:30 in the morning when the shooting.
That's not close at all. I don't know what he's talking about.
Moses statues. I'm telling you.
What?
Put a dent in it with some Moses statues.
No, but it's weird that he's like, oh, this high school is 30 minutes away. Like, that's a long distance. My high school was like 5 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah.
Happened. I jumped in a truck and headed down there. I spent the entire time at Santa Fe High School, that entire
saving
day
lives.
with students, with teachers,
Jesus
with
Christ.
first responders, with parents.
I was in the way.
It is horrific, and let me say, as the father of two daughters, there is something deeply wrong that we have these shootings. There are a lot of things behind it that have nothing to do with government. They have things to do with things like removing God from the public square, like losing the moral foundation of much of our society, like losing the binds of community and family.
He wants the Moses statues.
But I'll tell you, that afternoon, Governor Abbott and I were in a hospital visiting with a young man who was shot. There were probably a dozen other students in that room. And we said, what's the answer to this? And we just kept our mouths shut and listened. Every one of those dozen Santa Fe students who had just been in that shooting, they said, almost word for word, they said, gun control's not the answer. They said, you know what, if you take our guns, you're not going to make us any safer.
Can you imagine, like, he's in the room with a bunch of people who just got shot, and he's like, what should we do? And they're like, whatever you do, Senator Cruz.
Don't take our guns.
Don't take our guns away. And then everyone's
This is absurd.
Right? Yeah, like, that didn't happen.
You're just going to mean that the killers and murderers have guns. We asked, well, what do you do then? The number one answer I heard from the students and parents and teachers at Santa Fe is more armed police officers in schools to keep our kids safe. We can make our schools safer by having officers protect them.
See, I'm not opposed to that.
Yeah, me neither.
And I don't think liberals or Democrats are opposed to that either.
Yeah, I say put a turret up on top of the school. I'm serious,
That's not going to help,
man.
because that's only going to prevent them from people from getting in.
What do you mean? You see the school shooter coming and you light him up.
But you don't, that's the point. You don't see him coming. You got to put the turret inside.
Oh, okay. Well, wherever's the best spot for the turret.
Right. It's got to be able to move so it can go into the hallway.
You roll it around on one of those carts, like the overhead projector, right?
Exactly.
The mobile turret.
Exactly.
Your time, Representative.
We had a town hall meeting in Graham, Texas, where I met an educator named Holly. She's been teaching for 29 years, so she understands what goes on in schools and in the classroom. She's also the advisor to the clay target team. She's probably the best marksman in that community, maybe of anyone here.
She wants to man the turret.
And she said from her experience in the classroom, from her experience as a marksman, bringing a firearm into that classroom is not going to make those children safer. Listening to Rhonda Hart.
You know, they've had lots of situations where people who aren't cops will like leave their gun in the bathroom or like in a desk drawer or something. I think that's part of the problem, is that if I'm in favor of them having like a police officer or something, a trigger-happy police officer.
Yeah, exactly. Someone who can't tell the difference between their apartment and the guy next door.
Right, but it's got to be like it's got to be someone who's trained. It can't be like some fly-by-night schmo
who lost her daughter Kimberly in the Santa Fe shooting. She tells me bringing weapons into those classrooms would not have saved her daughter's life. It will not make us safer. Thoughts and prayers, Senator Cruz, are just not going to cut it anymore. The people of Texas, the children of Texas deserve
the
action.
liberal zinger.
Well, hold on a second.
Man, you got a lot of booze, though.
More armed police officers in our schools is not thoughts and prayers. I'm sorry that you don't like thoughts and prayers. I will pray for anyone in harm's way, but I'll also do something about it. And my very first year in the Senate, I led the way introducing legislation that would have provided $300 million in additional funding for school safety, to harden our schools, to put metal detectors, to have more police officers. And unfortunately, your party in the Senate, the Democratic Party, filibustered that legislation because their only focus politically was trying to undermine the Second Amendment right.
Why is he just taking it? Why isn't he giving him a wrong? Right.
Yeah,
Lion Ted, interrupt him. Get in there.
And he was probably, I'm sure Cruz was prepared for that, because a lot of Democrats have been saying that thoughts and prayers line. So he had that ready to go. The metal detectors thing sounds so stupid to me. Like, that's not going to do anything, because someone's going to come into school to shoot everyone up. Well, so what? They're going to start shooting at the metal detector instead of once they get inside. Like, why does it matter?
Yeah.
It's fucking pointless.
It seems like a few of these have started on the street outside.
Yeah, like right in the doorway or the entranceway.
Yeah, going after thoughts and prayers is just stupid. Stupid.
It is, yeah.
It's stupid. What do you think? All the liberals are atheists? Come on. Come on.
Senator, let's move on.
Well, see, he didn't understand the reason people go after thoughts and prayers is it's supposed to represent inaction, like empty gesture.
Yeah, but that's not how it's perceived.
Right. So he should have said that specifically instead of thoughts and prayers.
Fumble.
Yep.
This question is for you, Senator Cruz. The last time you stood for election was in 2016. You were the runner-up in the Republican primary for president. You ran against then New York businessman Donald Trump. Donald Trump, as you remember, dubbed you Lion Ted. He took swipes at your wife and father.
Oh, no.
You in
He's
turn
going to call
called him
Lion
a pathological
Ted.
liar. And quite frankly, there are so many insults between the two of you, it would take the rest of this show to go through them all.
But we're going to do it.
But now that he's president, you guys have become friendly to the point where you praised him in Time magazine. How do you respond to critics who say that as it relates to President Trump, you've lost your dignity?
Well, there is no doubt 2016 was an election unlike any others. And there were some hard shots thrown. I'll tell you, my dad, who's here tonight, anyone who knows me knows my father has been my hero every day of my life. And Heidi and my daughters who are here as well, anyone who knows me knows Heidi is my best friend in the world. I think she is the most beautiful woman on the face of the planet. I am blessed from God to be married to Heidi Cruz.
And if you insult them and then become president, I will totally back down on attacking you.
Yeah, totally. Backtracking Cruz.
He's cruising back.
Backpedaling Cruz.
After the election in 2016, I faced a choice. Donald Trump had been elected president, and we had an opportunity to do something extraordinary. I made a conscious choice to do the job I've been elected to do, which is to represent 28 million Texans. I've got a responsibility, which is to fight for every person here and every person in this state. And so I have worked hand in hand with the president on substance, and we have delivered remarkable victories, the biggest tax cut of a generation. We've seen 4 million new jobs created since Trump was elected, and we cut taxes and cut regulations. We're seeing record low unemployment. Texans' lives are better. So yes, I could have chosen to make it about myself, to be selfish and say, you know what, my feelings are hurt, so I'm going to take my marbles and go home. But I think that would have been not doing the job I was elected to. And every single day in the Senate, it has been my job to fight for jobs, 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 and to fight for 28 million Texans. I've done that. And if the people of Texas reelect me, I will continue to fight each and every day for jobs and economic opportunity for Texas.
That's your time.
So you ready to watch why this guy's going to lose?
Oh, is this the big one? We've been going.
Watch how he completely fumbles the response to this.
Representative O'Rourke.
Farmers and ranchers that I meet all across this state as I visit each one of the 254 counties of Texas wonder where their junior senator is as this president enters trade wars and imposes tariffs that are going to hurt no state more than Texas. Average citizens from both parties and independents alike wonder where our junior senator is when you have a president who may or may not have tried to collude with Russia in 2016, but to quote the conservative columnist George Will on that stage in Helsinki as he defended Vladimir Putin instead of the United States of America, that was collusion in action. Listen, if the president attacks you personally, your wife, your father, how you respond is your business. But when the president attacks our...
He just threw away the greatest political gift in all of history.
What should he have said?
He should have said, before you is a man who sold out the dignity of his father and his wife in order to advance his political career.
Yeah.
So what chance is there that he's not going to sell out the state of Texas?
Oh my God. Why aren't you writing political speeches?
Boom. Drop it.
Yeah. Man.
He didn't do it. He pussied out.
But that would activate the Loyalty Betrayal Foundation, which he's completely blind to as a liberal.
That's true.
Institutions, this country
He's
allows
like, I've sold my wife and children out 6 times just today. Jesus.
See, that is our business. We need a U.S. senator who will stand up to this president where we must, work with him where we can, but ensure that 242 years into this audacious experiment, that we are still a nation of laws and not one of men.
I was so upset when he
Yeah,
didn't
what
go
does that
after him for
mean?
that.
What does that even mean?
Yeah.
We're a nation of laws and not of men. Aren't we a nation of both? Laws and men? I mean, it seems
Well,
like...
I guess he means like we're not a nation of like Trump being a dictator. I think that's what he's trying to say.
Yeah, he's saying he was loyal to Trump over his family.
Well, over the law.
He never mentioned the family though, man. That you're right on the money there. Like he could have just game, set, match right there. Standing ovation. The black guy would be with his mouth just agape. The woman's hair would be messed up. It would be like, it would be over.
I mean, that is, I don't know if you remember, like during 2016, like Cruz was like, how dare you attack my wife? And my father.
Totally.
Like he was so righteous fury. And then the second Trump won, he just pussied out.
Yeah. Well, he kind of had to. I mean, Trump would have murdered his whole family.
He could have just been silent about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you've seen that picture of him where he's at like the call center for Trump, and he has like this horrible look on his face.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. I wonder if he missed it because of that loyalty. Because they don't think about loyalty.
Maybe. I think it sounded like he was trying to take some sort of like, oh, I'm taking the high road. It's just personal business.
Yeah, they always take the high road, and that's why they always lose.
Right. Yeah. But I disagree. I don't even think it's a question of the high road, because I don't think it is your personal business. I think it's not a political talking point. If you are willing to sell out the dignity of your family for your political,
Oh yeah, it's over.
That's important.
Yeah, who cares about your voters?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a devastating argument. It really is.
We got two Canadians from Caffeinated Fiend cruising back. Sitch gets a super chat for that.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you appreciated it.
I'm just a sidekick. I know my place. It's okay.
Let me
Someday.
say two things. Number one, Congressman O'Rourke invoked farmers and ranchers. I'll tell you, I'm incredibly privileged to have the support of farmers and ranchers across the state. Indeed, the Texas Farm Bureau has endorsed my reelection because I've been fighting for farmers and ranchers for 6 straight years.
Pork.
And on policy, Congressman O'Rourke's position are dramatically out of touch with farmers and ranchers.
Yeah.
How many
He
times is he gonna
supports
say
President
farmers and
Obama's Waters of the United States rule. He's voted in favor of it multiple times, puts massive burdens on farmers and ranchers. He's voted in favor of the death tax, keeping it broad, sucking farmers and ranchers and
Sucking off farmers and ranchers. What?
Well, I don't know. Whenever someone brings up the estate tax, I get triggered.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to go into it. It's too
Because
long.
of the you know who relabeled it was
Lutz.
Yeah, Frank Lutz.
Yeah.
Man,
He was.
that guy's brilliant.
He is. He's evil too.
Well, evil genius.
He's an evil genius. He was the one that did death panels, I think, too.
Yeah.
Maybe that's his only skill is he just puts death in front of it.
He's like, no, he turned gambling into gaming, which was brilliant.
Oh,
in,
yeah.
in Vegas. Yeah.
I think the rumor is he was also at that meeting after Obama got elected. It was like him and a bunch of other high-level senators and House representatives, and they came up with a strategy to just obstruct forever on everything, regardless of the content.
Right. He's like, I'll find a way to sell it. Just do whatever distasteful thing you can think of, and I'll turn it. I'll give you the right way to word it. It'll be great.
All right.
Yeah. We'll redefine treason. It's national restructuring.
Oh, is it? It would be. What were you saying? Alternative the other day?
Yeah, totally.
It's alternative patriotism.
Oh, alternative patriotism. That's brilliant.
small
That's
businesses
brilliant.
into it. That's not good for farmers and ranchers. But you know where his question ended? It ended on an attack on Donald Trump. And the modern Democratic Party is just consumed with hatred for Donald Trump. That's why Congressman O'Rourke is the only Democratic Senate nominee in the country to explicitly commit to voting to impeach President Trump. That is extreme, and that doesn't reflect Texas.
He gave him a second bat. A second time at bat. He could say it right here.
Yep.
At least I didn't sell my family out for Donald Trump.
Yeah, right? I don't know.
98 DWI arrests numerous times during
What?
your public career, but not this question. As the Houston Chronicle pointed out recently, a witness said in that accident that you tried to leave the scene of the accident.
What? Oh my
Did you?
God.
And should voters be concerned about
You
this
didn't know about this?
Yeah.
I didn't. No way.
I did not try to leave the scene of the accident.
He was a
though.
drunk driver?
Driving drunk?
He was a drunk driver, and apparently the claim is that he tried to leave the scene of an accident.
Yeah. Why are they
it's pretty
putting? Why
bad.
is this guy up? We must be desperate in Texas
Right.
for.
Well, it was a long time. It was like 20 years ago or something. So
Oh, okay. So it was okay.
Brett
then.
Kavanaugh can possibly sexually assault someone 30 years ago. Well, I guess with this, it's not a question of whether he did it or not.
Yeah. I guess there's a police report.
Yeah, that's where the police report, I believe, says that he tried to flee the scene.
Oh my God.
Which I did. is a terrible mistake for which there is no excuse or justification or defense, and I will not try to provide.
Maybe that's why he thought he shouldn't go and attack Cruz, because he felt like Cruz would attack him back on this.
Well, obviously he's going to attack him anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
Like he should have said lying Cruz, and Cruz is lying about the DUI.
I can only tell you that I was able to have a second chance in my life. I was able to start a small business with good friends in El Paso. Was able to meet Amy on a blind date before Tinder. Raised 3 amazing kids with her, Ulysses, Molly, and Henry. Serve my community on the El Paso City Council and represent 750,000 people from my community in the United States Congress. I've made the most that I could with my second chance and my opportunity. What I do know is that as a white man in this country, there's a privilege that I enjoy that many African-American men and women do not. They do not have that second chance. They're forced to check that box on an employment application form that makes it harder for them to get a job. They're ineligible for the Pell Grants that would allow them to attend
What's the box?
SMU or TCU. Or
The felon box.
Are you saying, is he saying that because he was white, he didn't get a felony DUI?
That's what he's implying.
That's an interesting strategy there.
Mm-hmm. How do you feel about the felony thing?
That he dodged a felony DUI?
No, I mean, the concept, like, if someone is a convicted felon and then serve their time, should they have to say that on the job application form?
Yeah, totally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you want to know that as an employer, right? So you can not hire those people.
Right. Well, it's a problem because I agree with you that you do want to know that, but then those people can't get jobs, and then they're more likely to recommit crimes.
Yeah. What do you do?
A no-win situation.
Lock them up and throw away the key. I mean, what can you do?
Just kill him.
I can't believe this. I'm just like, I wouldn't vote for a guy who had a DUI. Like, it's beyond the pale. Drunk driving triggers me. You're triggered by Ted Cruz. I'm triggered by drunk drivers.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty bad.
Yeah. It's like I only killed one kid in a vehicular manslaughter, and
right.
Like I got a second chance because I wish. Like you don't get a second chance because you're a white male, dude. You get a second chance because you got rich parents that hire a lawyer and get you out of it. Like, why the hell are you bringing skin color into this? That totally pisses me off.
Yeah, it is. It's really bad.
Yeah,
it's really bad.
Like if I had done something like that, I don't have rich parents. Like, like what am I going to do? Stand in front of the judge and go, "Hey, but I'm white. Let me go." I got the public defender here. Look, hey, tell him I'm white, public defender. It's nonsense.
Exactly.
It's totally nonsense. Like, why doesn't he say the truth? Like, I was lucky I had a second chance because I had a rich dad.
Right.
Who loaned me the money to start a business.
Jesus. That's what really bothers me about where the Democrats have come from. Because it used to be more like, in the 90s, they would have said, well, it's because I was rich. They would have said exactly what you were saying.
Yeah.
That the poor get screwed over because they can't pay for bail, they can't pay for a lawyer, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, they get a public defender that's like just fresh out of school. He doesn't know shit.
Right, and he's got way too many cases, and
Yeah, doesn't care.
He doesn't care. Yeah, it doesn't care. It has nothing to do with skin color. It has to do with being rich or poor.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. It's like so weird. Like in 2014, all of a sudden the Democrats just lost the plot.
Yeah, this is why I don't know how you can say they're going to win any elections. Like I honestly, I haven't been following the news very closely lately. I've got other things going on, but there's this tell of the blue wave that's coming here in the midterm elections. First of all, liberals don't show up in the midterm elections. They're like, what are they smoking? They think there's going to be this blue wave. I feel like they're setting people up for another huge disappointment.
No, yeah, I think you're probably right. I mean, they're banking on Trump outrage fueling a blue wave.
Trump's approval rating just passed 50%.
Right. I don't think it's going to happen the way they think it is.
Yeah, delusional.
Yep.
It's just not good. It's not good. Not only that, that's what totally screwed Hillary. Like they told everyone was saying Hillary was going to win in a landslide. That tells the liberals, hey, well, I can stay home. She's going to win in a landslide. They don't need my vote.
Right.
Landslides are coming.
And she didn't even visit, apparently, those 5 Rust Belt states.
Yeah. Some crazy times.
In this area. And their choices are narrowed, their options are constrained in their lives. Everyone deserves a second chance. And if my experience can contribute to an understanding that allows me to work with Republicans and Democrats alike on real and meaningful criminal justice reform to ensure that everyone is able to live to their full potential and no one's mistake defines them for the rest of their lives, that will be something good in whatever meaningful way it is that has come out of that terrible decision on my part.
Wow, you just nailed the criminal vote. Good job, guy. you got it. Like, come on.
It was a really bad answer.
Look at that look. That look says it all. Why are you even on that stage? Who picked that tie out for you?
He has the same terrible tie.
It's just all. It's so slimy too, because it's like you got a second chance because of wealth. Let's be honest, like, and the idea that everyone, like his whole argument is everyone should be rich. Everyone should get a second chance because they're rich. Just, oh man, slimy. We got another super chat, receipt of instructions. I'll let you read it. My reading is awful.
Well, we got 3. We got Caffeinated
really?
Fiend for another 2 Canucks. Make bad puns, then you get a super chat too.
Nice. No more bad puns, so I don't want the super chat.
Puns are the best form of
No,
comedy.
they're
I don't know what
awful.
you're talking about.
Awful.
Sully Dare for $2 says, I messed up, but my white guilt will make it up.
Oh man.
That was basically the answer. That
It was. Yeah. Oh, awful. Now I know why you wanted to watch this. You knew that was coming.
I knew that was
Just
coming.
you blindsided me. I'm so triggered right now. This is all like this is total bullshit. Yeah, it's bullshit. It's bullshit. Like, hey, guess what? I'm rich. And that somehow equates to white privilege for me. Get out of here, punk.
Yep. 10 pounds for receipt of instructions. For what I can tell, lying Ted is at least saying what he believes. The other guy simply says what he thinks people wants to hear. Seems like Ted has learned from Trump, LMAO. Oh, I don't know if I agree.
Yeah, I don't know if I agree with that either, but
I agree that Lion Ted is definitely doing significantly better in terms of how he's phrasing things. Like his answer to how can we trust you if you will sell out your wife and father? It was a good answer. It was a good manipulation. But I don't think he actually believes it.
I don't think any politician believes their lies. Well, that's a tough one because they I'm sure they believe their bullshit, but yeah, they probably do believe their bullshit, but just so they can sleep at night. But it doesn't change the fact that it's nonsense.
Yeah.
But I honestly have to say I'd be voting for Lion Ted here. Just like this guy lost it for me with the whole...
Just because of the DUI stuff?
And the white guilt stuff. It's like, get out of here. Get out of town. It's when you got me voting for Lion Ted, you got trouble. You got major trouble going. Major trouble. I can't stand Lion Ted. Yeah, that's bad.
He's wearing the same tie. Look.
Oh my God, he is. They probably
What's up with that?
They probably had their lawyers agree on what color tie they were going to wear.
Senator,
I don't intend to get into Congressman O'Rourke's personal history.
Oh my God!
Keep the focus.
Ted kills it here.
Ted
kills it here.
That's why he didn't attack Cruz either.
He knew.
This
is carefully choreographed ahead of time. Screenwriters write this shit out just so they sign off on it. They agree to it. Okay, this is how the debate's going to go.
Okay, so here's the question. If O'Rourke did attack Cruz, like the way that I said, and then Cruz attacked him for the DUI, Who do you think wins in that exchange?
Yeah, because he's the aggressor then, but that might be good. I mean, he would be a bad aggressor though.
Who would be a bad?
So much of this is personality. Like, look at the way this guy is slumped over. The way that the guy is slumping down is not pretty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they kind of set this guy up for failure. He looks like a DUI survivor. Like, now I know why he's had no confidence in this whole debate, because he knew this was coming.
Right.
Like, he's been thinking about this whole time.
You're probably right. But I think if they had both attacked each other, I think the DUI Beto would have been in a better position.
Yeah,
At least
no.
he could have said that was 20 years ago or whatever,
Yeah,
And I made a mistake.
I made a mistake 20 years ago. You sold out your wife 6 months ago. See, but that's how Trump would have played it. Trump would have went out strong. He would have been like, yeah, of course I had sex with that prostitute or that porn star. What would you do? She was hot.
And my wife was pregnant. She didn't want to have sex.
Yes, exactly. Trump has a way of just making whatever guilt, totally like ridiculous, guilty thing seem like it's just normal, which is, I mean, it's awful. Don't get me wrong. I don't think anyone should go out and cheat on their wife, but this guy doesn't have that ability. Like, he's been focused on that. That's why he's been in loser mode this whole time.
Yeah, maybe.
But you're right. He may, like, what does he have to lose in this exchange? Like, he's got nothing. He's been bluffing with, like, he's got nothing. He's got a nothing hand.
You would think that what people would have learned from the 2016 election was that playing it safe is not a winning strategy, at least in for the next 10 years or so.
Yeah, not when you got nothing. Like, seriously, when you know the DUI is coming, you come out swinging.
Right. To distract away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody would be thinking about the DUI if he had come out strong. If he had used your strategy about Lion Ted selling his wife and kid down the river.
Right. So Beto O'Rourke says you're going to lose probably in 6 years when you run again. You can hire me and friend to be on your political campaign.
Oh yeah. Oh, he's going to lose. He's going to lose. He's going to lose.
Yeah.
If he has me saying I'm going to vote for Lion Ted, oh man, he's going to lose bad. He's going to lose bad.
I will say, as a member of Congress, he introduced legislation that would make it easier for those with drug convictions to get driver's licenses.
Oh, of course. Why wouldn't he? He's like, I have free driver's license for all the DUI.
I love, it's so funny because he's like, oh, I'm not going to talk about his DUI, but I am going to talk about his DUI.
But I'm going to talk about the policy that comes out of his DUI.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
I think that's a real mistake, and it's part of a pattern. There's a
Oh, it
consistent
is.
pattern when it
We
comes
see
to
the
drug
pattern.
use that in all
Oh my God, look at how smug his little face is. Like, and his tone of voice changed. Can you hear it?
Oh, he knows he won.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Right now, he sees himself with the shovel, just throwing the dirt on the coffin. He's like, this is over. This is over.
You gotta swing hard, kids. When you're in the right, you gotta go for it.
almost every single instance, Congressman O'Rourke supports more of it. So when he was on the El Paso City Council, he's one of the leading advocates in the country for legalizing marijuana. He wrote a book about that. Now, legalizing marijuana is actually a question on which I think reasonable minds can differ. I've always had a libertarian bent myself. I think it ought to be up to the states. I think Colorado can decide one way. I think Texas can decide another. But I'll tell you, Congressman O'Rourke didn't stop with marijuana. He introduced and he advocated for a resolution in the El Paso City Council calling for a national debate on legalizing all narcotics. That includes heroin and fentanyl and cocaine. And let me say, that is not, I believe, a reasonable issue on which people can disagree. Now, I suspect Congressman O'Rourke was...
That's absurd. He said he called for a debate on the subject.
Rourke looks, now that he mentions it, Rourke has looked a little stony this whole time. Like,
We was just calling for a debate on it. Well, we're on a debate stage now. I will tell you, I think it would be a profound mistake to legalize all narcotics, and it would hurt the children of this country.
Yeah.
That would be a serious mistake.
selling crack cocaine to school kids. He's like, but I only wanted to debate the crack cocaine.
All right. That was bullshit. I mean, obviously, even if they legalize drugs, they're not going to let kids take them.
See his bad posture? He has really bad posture.
He's got tall guy posture.
Yeah, they didn't put the podium up high enough for him.
No, I mean
He's
sometimes when
hovering over
people
it.
sometimes when people are tall at a young age, they try to hide it because it makes them feel weird, so they kind of hunch over a little bit.
Yeah. Where did Nancy Pelosi dig this guy up from?
From George Soros, obviously.
I know.
Handpicked him. We got a $5 super chat from Receipt of Instructions, or £5.
Is it Recipe of Instructions?
Recipe of Instructions, you're right. DUI guy.
Oh my God! Now he is a nickname.
DUI guy. That's a great nickname. That's what Trump would have called him. The
Totally,
DUI guy.
the DUI guy.
Teddy believes his own lies 100%. He's just too weak. You can watch him on Crowded. Oh, on Crowder. Made me laugh. Or Crowded. Was Ted Cruz on Crowder?
I don't know. Crowded might be a different show.
Maybe. We'll look it up.
Yeah. Ted Cruz definitely. I mean, yeah, I think he has to believe us. He believes this stuff.
Everyone has to convince themselves.
Totally. He thinks,
right.
Oh, I would be the perfect president. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I know I'd be a terrible president. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I'm too disorganized.
Crowder, so.
Oh, he was.
Yes.
Nice.
I agree with you.
Representative.
Don't agree with him. Oh my God. What are you doing?
He's not agreeing with him, is he? I don't think he is.
He just said I agree with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I don't even know what it was about, but it was a mistake. Don't agree.
Man, because more likely than not, that's who will be arrested for possession of marijuana to rot behind bars instead of enjoying marijuana, but is prohibited by law from doing that. Another older one will be legal at some form for medicinal purposes.
Fuck, where the hell is it?
recreational
Yeah, what are you doing?
I'm trying to get. I'm trying to go back to the. Where
But what I do
agreed.
want.
Heroin and fentanyl and cocaine. And let me say, that is not, I believe, a reasonable issue on which people can disagree. Now, I suspect Congressman O'Rourke will say, we was just calling for a debate on it. Well, we're on a debate stage now. I will tell you, I think it would be a profound mistake to legalize all narcotics, and it would hurt the children of this country. That would be a serious mistake.
Senator, that's your time.
I agree with you.
Representative.
To be clear, I don't want to legalize heroin and cocaine and fentanyl. But what I do want to ensure is that
hold on.
in this country, most
I gave him the criminal vote. It was the only vote I gave him. Now he just pissed that away.
Yep.
states have decided that marijuana will be legal at some form for medicinal purposes, for recreational purposes, or at a minimum will be decriminalized. That we don't have another veteran in this state prescribed an opioid because the doctor at the VA would rather prescribe medicinal marijuana but is prohibited by law from doing that. Another older woman with fibromyalgia who's not able to use medicinal cannabis because it's against the law here. And another African-American man, because more likely than not, that's who will be arrested for possession of marijuana, to rot behind bars instead of enjoying his freedom and the opportunity to contribute to the greatness of this country. Yes, I want to end the war on drugs and specifically want to end the prohibition on marijuana.
And Grover, let me point out.
He really should have got angry and said, we have an opioid crisis in this country where, you know, thousands of, I think it's like 30,000 people a year are dying from opioid addiction. And we have, you know, doctors have done research and have found that, you know, medicinal marijuana can be used in all these cases and it's not addictive and people aren't dying from it. And yet we still have old-fashioned rhetoric like from Ted Cruz going back to the days of like the Vietnam War and the hippie movement, you know, and they're still trying to do this, like, you know, make it like a old boomer issue.
Yeah. Why aren't you running? Why do they have Lurch on stage? Jeez.
He didn't dispute that as 9 years ago, as an elected member of the El Paso City Council, he introduced and advocated for energetically debating ending the prohibition on all narcotics, on everything. He says he doesn't agree with that now, but that was only 9 years ago. And I'll tell you, when it comes to this is an issue that's personal to me.
I've done a lot of drugs. I went to
My
college.
older sister, Miriam.
No, did you see, like, he took that moment where he was, like, preparing himself to say something sad?
Oh, he did.
Died of a drug overdose.
The guy just looks.
Died of a drug overdose.
The guy's just dying over there, man. The look on his face is like, oh no, I got caught with my hand in the cookie jar.
Though, isn't that? I mean, I haven't looked into the psychology of any of this stuff, but wouldn't people that are dying of drug overdoses, would they be better off in a society where drugs are legal or illegal?
Yeah, who knows? That's like a crapshoot. You got to try it one way and see what happens. There'd be more over. Well,
there'd be more people on drugs.
There would be more overdoses. There would definitely be more overdoses because people would just assume, oh, they're safe because, like, people now, I think there's so many opioid overdoses because people are like, yeah, my doctor prescribed it to me. It's safe.
Right, but there's a difference between saying drugs will be legal and your doctor prescribing something. Right.
Yeah. But I mean, you would
no
assume
one thinks,
you would just
no one
make.
thinks,
Go ahead.
No one thinks alcohol is like, oh, it's legal, so it's safe.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, they do to a certain extent, though.
Well, they think it's not as bad as. I mean, it isn't as bad as like coke or something.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Or heroin or whatever, but.
Yeah. This guy's losing bad. It's not even. I mean, don't even vote. This is pointless to even. Not only that, in California they had the legalization bill at the midterm election, and I was just like, why are they doing this? Like, liberals don't vote in midterms, and like the stoners aren't going to show up to vote. Like they actually thought it was going to. What's that?
That's their plan. They thought it was going to get people to come out.
Oh, maybe that's the only reason they had it. Well, it didn't pass. Yeah. Colorado ended up legalizing weed before California did.
Right.
But the next time they put it on in the last presidential election, so now it's legal. It's pretty crazy. I could light one up right here for you guys. Totally legal, dude. Aren't you jealous?
Liberals got to get that. Not really. I don't smoke pot.
Oh, okay.
Liberals got to get that loyalty trait bonus. Got to spec into that.
They don't know how to do loyalty.
No.
They just don't. It's not. They're free spirits, man. They don't want to be tied down to loyalty. Are you kidding? Supporting the nation. Come on. It's like they get all, oh no, a child that was separated from his parents. It's like, oh. But then, like, you know, some hardworking American gets dissed. Who cares?
He's white. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. He's a bad guy.
We need mandatory flag burning in every school.
Oh, my goodness.
People all across the state of Texas, 70,000 people a year are dying of drug overdoses in this country. We have an opioid crisis. And I think talking about legalizing all narcotics, I think that is profoundly dangerous, and it doesn't represent the interest of Texans.
That's a pretty lame argument, though. It's like, oh, you can't even talk about it?
Yeah.
Like, give me a break.
All right, that's your time. And Senator Cruz, you get the next question. You fought for the repeal of the Affordable Care Act, but Texas has the highest rate of uninsured people in the nation, and more than 1 million residents signed up through the federal marketplace this year. How do you propose addressing the health care needs of Texans?
Let them die.
I believe Obamacare has hurt millions of Texans. It was sold to the people of this country on a promise from President Obama. If you like your health insurance plan, you can keep it. If you like your doctor, you can keep it. PolitiFact, the left-leaning organization, rated that 2013's lie of the year as millions of Americans had their health insurance canceled against their will. But the biggest reason people are unhappy with Obamacare is it's made their premiums skyrocket. I hear from Texans all over this state, I can't afford health insurance. President Obama promised the average family's premiums would drop $2,500 a year. In fact, they have risen over $5,000 a year. When Obamacare was implemented, The most inexpensive plan for a 30-year-old healthy man here in the Dallas area was $363 a year. Today, in this zip code where all of us are right now, a bronze plan for a 30-year-old healthy man is about $3,000 a year. A silver plan is over $4,400 a year. That's
What the hell's wrong with that state? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like where I live, there's no bronze plan that costs $3,000. Like, that's crazy. Right? Is that like, what is it like in California?
I have no idea, actually. I haven't been shopping for healthcare lately. Here, let me jump on their website, the Obamacare website. Does that work now, or did they fix
I
it?
have no idea.
No, I don't know what the health insurance costs.
I just know, like, back when I first signed up on the website, like, there was nothing. The bronze plans were like $300-$400. They weren't
Okay, so
$2,000. I don't
well,
know.
he
I don't know
might
what
be
he's talking
he
about.
might be making it up. You know, he's lying Ted. This is part of his moniker.
That's going from $363 to, in just a few years, increasing over tenfold. That's not.
So there is another lie here, which is that ever since Trump got elected, they've been actively gutting measures of Obamacare that would help lower the cost.
Yeah.
So it's not really fair to complain about the cost raising the last 2 years when you're actively trying to make that happen so that you can repeal it.
Our healthcare is completely messed up.
Yeah,
I do know that.
Yeah.
Right. What do we need?
So, and also, see, O'Rourke, this could be a good point for O'Rourke to say the Republicans right now have a majority in control every single branch of government. So why aren't they fixing Medicare? Why aren't they repealing Obamacare? Where's their plan?
Yeah, I think they punted on repealing Obamacare. I think they got in big trouble for it. I think people got mad at them.
But people forgot about that because that was in 2016.
Yeah, you should bring it up. He's like, well, you're bringing up my DUI from ancient history. Let me bring up some more ancient history.
Remember how last year you didn't do shit to help the Medicare situation or the the medical insurance situation?
Remember when you tried to shut down the government? My grandmother didn't get her Social Security check, and she needed that to pay for my DUI lawyer.
We need to lower premiums for everyone. How do we do that? We can protect pre-existing conditions, and you need to understand, everyone agrees we're going to protect pre-existing conditions.
Yeah, everyone doesn't agree with that.
But we also need more choices, more competition, more options so that prices drop, so that young people coming out of SMU or coming out of schools across this country can afford health insurance instead of facing the disaster that Obamacare has done to our healthcare system.
And that's your time, Senator. Representative?
I don't know how you're going to repeal every single word of the Affordable Care Act and keep protections for pre-existing conditions. Keep protections for Victor, who's the son of our new friend Laura Lehman, who we met. Victor has cerebral palsy,
Every politician does this, where they name some person you met.
Like, who cares? I don't care about
does
Victor.
Does that ever work?
No.
Does anyone care?
Well, I don't know. I guess the bleeding hearts care, but I mean, it's not really. It's just a name. Who cares? It's like a statistic.
Right. And it's such a stereotype at this point.
Yeah.
uncontrolled seizures, is incredibly expensive medically to keep alive. He's a medically complex child, but his life is worth just as much as anyone else.
Oh, someone brought up a good point. They said Cruz was saying per year, not per month, that it was $3,000.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes more sense.
But wait a minute. But that doesn't make sense. No one was paying $300 a year for health insurance. Right?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I don't know.
Our numbers really are friends, because I've heard that, but I don't know if I believe it.
Right.
I want to make sure that we keep those pre-existing condition protections for Victor. I want to make sure that we improve and stabilize the Affordable Care Act. I want to make sure that I never meet another young man like Joey in Laredo, 29 years old, has diabetes, now has glaucoma, does not have health care. And so the one time that he did see a doctor, that doctor said, you will be dead before you are the age of 40. And as he gets closer to death and takes himself to the emergency room, as the suffering becomes too great, the outcomes will not be as good as they would have been otherwise if we had invested up front, and the care will be disproportionately more expensive. I want to make sure that we also expand Medicaid. This state left $100 billion on the table that could have provided care for people in this community, introduce Medicare as an option on the exchanges, and then get to universal, guaranteed, high-quality health care for every child, for every woman, for every man in this state and every state in the union.
So there were two good points that I brought up in the chat. One is that he has a weird neck.
Yeah, no, I was going to say. I was like, oh, man.
He should, I don't know if, it doesn't look like, it looks like it's only one side.
He should wear a turtleneck.
I was going to say
be on the other side of the stage.
Yeah, he should have made them let him be on the other side of the stage or something.
He doesn't know about the neck thing.
Oh, you gotta know about the neck thing.
But it's lighting too. I mean, the lighting is bad for the neck. Like
Right.
if I was shooting this, I would adjust the lighting and get that neck action out of there.
Right. And
But he knew. He's like, dude, I'm a drunk driver, okay? Like I killed a family when I was 16. There's no way I'm going to win this.
Injury.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably. That was where the metal shard went through.
Someone said that they only paid $435 a year before Obamacare, and they get the same level of care, which I am highly skeptical of that. I mean, I don't know what state that is, but in my state, I was paying a lot more than $400 a year, for good care. I mean, I maybe you could get like the worst care possible and pay something like that.
Yeah, but you're young and healthy.
I know, but I was saying I was young and healthy, and I paid a lot more than $400 a year.
Oh,
a lot
okay.
more. So I don't know. It seems strange to me.
Yeah, I haven't run the numbers on it, but I know friends of mine have talked about how they're getting screwed, and they're not partisan people, so I don't necessarily know that they would be saying it to be partisan.
Oh yeah, I think it. I'm sure the numbers are messed up.
Yeah.
I just don't think it was. I don't think most people went from $300 to $3,000 a year.
This guy's going to be too drunk to fix it for him, though, so he's not going to be worried about fixing it. He's going to be like, I need another martini lunch.
If that's your time, Senator Cruz.
You know, it was striking that Congressman O'Rourke didn't have a word to say to the millions of Texans whose premiums have skyrocketed. He talked about pre-existing conditions, but every one of us agrees pre-existing conditions must be protected. And indeed, when we were debating Obamacare, I introduced legislation called the Consumer Freedom Amendment that would protect pre-existing conditions, but that the Health and Human Services Agency ran the numbers and found the Consumer Freedom Amendment, allowing people to purchase the health insurance that you want, would reduce annual premiums about $5,000 a year. We've got to lower premiums, and Congressman O'Rourke has voted 67 times to keep Obamacare. He hasn't been there to fix the people that are getting hurt, that are forced into part-time jobs. Instead, his answer is socialized medicine. Socialized medicine is a mistake, and it would hurt the people of Texas.
Okay, and our next question is about trade. This goes to Representative
look.
O'Rourke. Both of you have...
Who?
Rourke. Is his name Rourke, really?
O'Rourke, yeah.
Yeah. That's the bad guy in Sin City. Now I know why. It's so,
wait, was it?
There's no way he can win.
I thought that was the name of No, it was Marv's character.
Rourke.
You're right.
Marv's the one who constantly said, Rourke. Rourke did it.
Right. Yeah, you're right.
Oh, I'm going to
have
get
expressed
you.
concern over changes in trade and tariffs and their impact here in Texas. What could you realistically do to rein in President Trump on trade?
Nothing.
Why should
Next
voters
question.
believe that you would be more successful?
So I looked up very quickly the Consumer Freedom Amendment that Cruz is touting, and of course, Lying Ted was not being accurate with his depiction of it. What the plan would do was it would allow. This is so stupid. It would allow insurers to sell plans that don't comply with the Affordable Care Act regulations, including plans that don't cover pre-existing conditions, as long as they also would sell plans that were compliant with the Affordable Care Act.
So that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous.
So it would literally dismantle the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, because they'd be able to sell fake insurance.
Right.
The don't get sick insurance that the insurance companies love to sell. Love to sell that insurance. Pay when you're well.
Right.
Pay
So
when you're sick.
Completely. That was a very bullshit answer. You're right. Oh my God. Oh, like if I look on YouTube, it's not frozen where I froze it on my screen, but I can see the horrible creeper face you're talking about.
Oh yeah, no, he's the worst. He's it's like he's peeking out of the bushes at him.
Getting him to change course than Senator Cruz, who actually has a working relationship with him.
Understand the impacts of this firsthand in El Paso, the community I represent, where we're raising our children, a trading community. One out of every 4 jobs is connected to U.S.-Mexico trade in our community. I understand it from listening to the people of Texas. Unlike the senator, I've shown up to every single county in the state, being in Seminole, listening to a pecan grower who's seen.
So he's whatever. This guy gives a terrible answer. We have an interesting fight in the chat going on.
Yeah, we shouldn't go past 4 hours just because I don't know.
Right.
We're gonna piss people off.
Well, they can leave. I mean, it doesn't matter. But
yeah, totally. People like to watch our streams after the fact, though.
That's true. That's true. But
what's the fight
there's
in the chat?
An interesting fight about whether someone who said they lived in the same state is saying that their insurance was not $300 a year. He said it was $180 a month. So I don't know. It's still up in the air.
And they live in the same state? That's pretty crazy.
And they live in the same state. Yeah.
Seen the tariffs on his pecans go from 7%.
See, and he keeps bringing it back to this to the one guy. He's like, I know this one guy.
Yeah.
It's good. I'm gonna make that one guy's life better. So vote for me, and all my friends will get help.
Yeah, it's really doesn't seem like a good strategy.
No, not at all.
Around the world right now, and though he said these trade wars might end, these tariffs might come down, those purchasers in those other countries will find other countries from whom to buy. His farm will no longer be sustainable anymore. When has this country ever gone to war without allies? That's precisely what we're doing by levying $200 billion in tariffs against China and alienating the EU and Canada and our traditional trading partners. This state, with its farming and ranching and producing and manufacturing and export-based economy.
It's pretty baffling because you could really easily frame the trade war stuff that Trump is doing in a lens that Republicans would like. And he's literally framing it in the most liberal lens possible.
Yeah.
They don't care about their fucking allies, Who cares about that?
Yeah, exactly.
Economy needs a senator who will work with the president where we can and stand up to him where we must. I met with the president's Secretary of Commerce, Wilbur Ross. I met with his United States Trade Representative, Representative Lighthizer. And
that's why Lion Ted has that grin over there. He's like, dude, just give me more votes. Send more votes my way. What do you mean? We're pissing off our Europe? Ha ha ha. My voters will be at the polls. I feel like he's giving Lion Ted a free turn here. Like he's just doing Ted's talking points.
You're right.
And this is the case that I made to them. Not only does it...
Are you saying he did a TED talk? For Ted?
No, do not pay for that pun. I do not like the pun.
Everybody better give money for that pun.
Everybody. Does this state depend on trade? And we must protect those trading relationships that we have. But if we are to improve NAFTA and our relationship with Mexico specifically, let's ensure that those Mexican workers also have the ability to organize, to demand higher wages, which will make the United States worker a little bit more competitive. In the draft that I've seen so far of this latest agreement, that is included within it. So it shows that I'm able to stand up to the president where it counts and able to work with him where it will do the most good.
That's your time, Senator Cruz.
So bad.
Free trade is good for Texas. It's good for Texas farmers and ranchers. It's good for Texas businesses. I have made the case to President Trump directly.
I'm starting to think that Lion Ted picked this guy, handpicked this guy to run against him. I'm starting to believe that.
Maybe.
And personally dozens of times that we should be expanding our access to foreign markets, opening up the Mexican energy markets, expanding our access to Canada. If you look at the EU, it was interesting that Congressman O'Rourke referenced the EU. We've actually seen real breakthroughs in trade with the EU, that the European Union is now talking about sitting down with America and looking at zero tariffs, lowering their tariffs.
Don't
I thought
encourage
it was interesting
him.
Congressman O'Rourke brought up pecan farmers, because I've made the case directly to the administration that they should work on India to lower their tariffs on pecans so that we can export to India. But the difference is, I've made that case repeatedly to the president. Over and over again, I've worked hand in hand with the president on policy wins for the people
Who
of Texas.
insulted my wife
as
and
far as
father.
I know, Congressman O'Rourke has never spoken to the president, other than to publicly call for his impeachment. That doesn't suggest a relationship in the state of Texas when you are leading.
Look in the super chat window.
I know.
extreme-
I hate you. I laughed out loud when I saw that first one for $10. I'm like, don't encourage him. Jeez.
Joshua
That's-
Cornelius, $10 in delicious pun money.
I don't hear puns in your videos. I consider you a joke writer. I mean, I write jokes too, but puns that's like, it's weak sauce, buddy.
I have all sorts of visual puns. What are you talking about?
Oh, visual punch. Yeah, you do the butt thing
Yeah.
all the time. But
Or well.
yeah,
that a
totally. I guess you're the
Yeah.
pun king. I never
I'm the
realized.
pun king. You didn't realize what a
Oh
hack
my
I really
god! Oh my god!
And another 2 Canucks from
Yep.
Caffeinated Fiend. Yes to all puns, Adam.
Jeez, we're doing this on. If there's going to be more puns, we're doing this on your channel.
You're not going to sully your
left
good
wing
name
wanting
with
to
puns?
impeach the
No
president
more
and
pun
attack
talk.
the president. That's not setting you up to have victories for the people of Texas.
Representative?
I'll work with anyone, anytime, anywhere, and that includes the President
That includes my parole officer.
of the United
What a
States.
terrible way to start
with
the
Republicans.
answer.
I
I'll
know.
work with anyone.
I'll work with anyone. Doesn't matter how greasy they are. Any mob boss, any hooker, anyone. Just name them. Drug dealers, pimps, whores, people selling dirty needles. Line them up.
And colleagues to expand access to mental health care. There were 500,000 veterans who put their lives on the line for this country, who by law, because of the status of their discharge, were unable to go into a VA and see the psychiatrist or psychologist who would save their lives. I was able to bury the differences between myself and a Republican colleague who had a similar proposal. We introduced it, got it passed in the House. There was a similar bill passed in the Senate, signed into law by President Trump. That's saving lives of veterans in this state and throughout this country right now. So whether it's veterans, service members, farmers, ranchers, Americans, I'll stand up for everyone and work with anyone, including the president, to make sure that we do better for this country.
Senator Cruz, this question is about Texas values. You campaign on the fact that you represent Texas's values, but if you look at the polls.
Uh-oh, what happened?
Oh, yeah. George Soros is shutting down the debate.
Oh
because-
no! Did we get polled?
Day for lower taxes, lower rates, and more jobs.
Oh,
Shut it down.
the stream's going good.
No, it's definitely the video itself.
Should I refresh that window and see what happens?
You're right. We have a real race in the state of Texas. The hard left.
No, I think it
is
was the YouTube video
energized.
itself.
They're angry. Many of them are.
That's fucked up.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should end it here anyway. All we're doing is cracking jokes. We know who's going to win.
That's true.
I'm willing to call it right now. Lion Ted is going to be your senator for the next 100 years. He gets to pick the guy he runs against, so there's no chance of getting that guy out of there.
Right. You're probably right. He's a representative right now, O'Rourke, which is hard to imagine how he won in the first place.
Hold on, Rourke is the senator now?
No, representative.
Oh yeah, he's the House of Representatives.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2-year gang. They're nobodies, man.
Yeah.
Senators.
Well, I'm assuming it's a liberal district.
Senators, big dogs.
It's probably a very black district, which is why he's got all his
interesting.
rhetoric. Probably. I'm assuming.
He's got to protect his turf.
Right, right.
So you have any before we wrap it up? Do you have any closing words on the Kavanaugh thing? Since that's how the stream is actually labeled. I guess I should label it.
I looked up right now. I was wrong. His district is only 3% black. So.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where he's getting all this race stuff from. What would you say? Closing statements on Kavanaugh?
Yeah.
I knew he was going to get confirmed.
Yeah.
And it is funny because he's like, I agree that the sexual assault allegations, I mean, there's no evidence to confirm any of that stuff. But I do think it's funny that someone who is like, the Republicans always complain about elitism, and Kavanaugh is like, the prep school, went to an Ivy League college, rich, elite white guy. And he completely fits that mold of being a total elitist. And yet when it's their guys, of course they get the free pass. Because morality binds and blinds.
Yeah, yeah. We're all major hypocrites, but
yep.
No way around it. Do you know how many? I mean, this is 2 picks that he's got already. Is the whole Supreme Court going to be, because they're all the geriatric club. Like, it seems like they're all ready to go.
If he gets reelected, it's funny. Everyone was complaining that Ruth Bader Ginsburg should resign when Obama was president because she's so old.
Right.
And if she like quits during Trump's campaign, everyone's gonna hate her so much.
She could die any minute. She's like 106. I don't. She's like.
Right. So, but yeah, if he gets reelected, there's definitely a really strong chance that the court would become 6-3 Republican.
Yeah.
Or conservative, I guess.
That's why they're losing their minds.
Right.
Yeah, they should. I feel like the Democrats should be. I don't know what to do. Yeah,
they gotta.
Who knows
They really got to drop. I don't know, because here's the question: if they drop the identity politics bullshit, I'm assuming SJWs will still vote for them over Trump. So why bother pandering, to that base?
Yeah, I agree. The Republicans never pander past they do the red meat during the primaries, but they never really pander during the general.
Well, but then see, that's part of the problem is because they didn't pander. You could say that, you had the Tea Party come in, and the Tea Party is like the right-wing version of the SJWs.
Sure.
And in that it's like a small, politically motivated minority, but it's very vocal.
Mm-hmm.
And they could point and say, look at Obama. He beat 2 conservatives who tried to pander to the moderates and lost. And then when the Tea Party had the Trump candidate come in who didn't pander to anyone, he won. So the SJWs could look at that and say, well, we need like an SJW Trump.
Oh, God. I'm terrified. I'm terrified of that. Yeah, I don't know if an SJW Trump could win.
I don't know. I wouldn't think so, but
yeah,
I wouldn't know if that Trump would win either. So
that would go crazy. That would be nuts. That would never happen.
You say that now.
Oh, I know.
But I called this conversation 2 years from now, and I'm gonna be like, Adam.
I called Trump though early on. I knew
you called that he would win, but you didn't call that he would be in there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
No, I called that he would win and be in there. So.
No, but I mean, like before he announced it, you weren't like, oh, Donald Trump's totally gonna run for president.
Oh no, I didn't know that. No. Yeah. I don't know who the SJW equivalent of Trump would be.
I don't know. Some celebrity probably.
Yeah. Who's that? Who's the Alyssa Milano? Who's the crazy Me Too lady?
No, not her.
See, that's why I'm just the idea that they would be charismatic and a crazy SJW just doesn't, like, who's a crazy SJW that's charismatic?
That's a good point.
Doesn't seem to add up for me.
Compute.
All right, well, thanks for the super chats, guys. Thanks for tuning in, and give us some ideas in the comments about what you want to see next week. Peace out.
Peace.